Thank you. I am going to say that I've established that we have a quorum. And I'm going to read the script for the open meeting laws. We are using Zoom for this meeting, which allows for the public to participate in the meeting as an attendee. The chair can request that the members of the public provide their names for purposes of keeping accurate minutes for the meeting. Attendees must register to participate. The link can be found on the Nantucket Government TV YouTube. Attendees will join in listening mode. Click or put your hand button up if you wish to speak. The chair will call on those who have raised their hands in order they are raised, and questions should be directed through the chair. Confirming member access. As a preliminary matter, this is Dorothy Hertz, Chair of the Contract Review Committee. Please permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipating on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond on the affirmative. John?
John Valash here.
Sue?
Sue Minton in here.
Linda?
Here.
Bert?
Bert Johnson here.
Veronica? Here. Thank you. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Heather?
Heather Nardoni here.
Thank you. Jericho?
Jericho Mealy here.
Anticipated speakers on the agenda, please respond in the affirmative. Hi, Lisbeth.
You're muted, Elizabeth.
And then if everybody's that's in this other Zoom could identify themselves, and Lisbeth, you need to say your name.
Lisbeth
And-
Carol Fuller from the Art Association. I'm a program manager in the education department.
Thank you. And
Hello,
everybody else.
Dorothy and everyone. I'm Liz Hunt O'Brien, the Public Programs Director. And here is Tracy Sears, our Executive Director. This is Liz Buccino, our Director of Education. And this is Tom Corper, who is our Finance Director.
Hi, everybody.
Hello. Hi.
Good afternoon. This open meeting of the Contract Review Committee is being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will.
On your birthday? All right, then we have to get another one. I'm in a meeting right now at the house.
Linda, please, sorry. The meeting of the Contract Review Committee is conveying by video conference via app Zoom. It's actually hybrid as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that the meeting will be recorded, that all attendees are participating by video conference, or half are. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured for the recording. And just so everybody knows, the reading they say that is that becomes public document and we can request that. So, all supporting materials that have been provided members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless I note otherwise. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective, clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, I will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called further. Please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in conversation with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. So this is for public comment. After members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment to those members of the public who have joined us via the meeting Zoom. Actually, this is like backwards. We're going to have you talk first, and then we're going to ask questions. Members of the public who wish to speak must state their names to be acknowledged and speak through the chair. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. And Veronica.
I'd like to move the agenda.
Make a motion.
Make a motion, to move the agenda.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, Veronica,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
Bert,
Aye.
Linda?
Aye.
And I will, I'm just gonna ask a question before we start. Are you recording this meeting via anything other than Zoom?
Heather, do you have the dictation app up and running? She may be
Yes.
AFK.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have a dictation
So
software running.
everybody- Oh, sorry. So everybody knows, you are being recorded on a private phone for dictation purposes. By law, I have to let you know that, okay? Okay, so the way this goes, Lisbeth, and some of you have been here before, but you will make your presentation to us about your grant, and then we'll ask questions.
Okay, so I'm Liz Hunt O'Brien and obviously of the Artists Association. And as you know, we have this is, I think, about our 5th year requesting funding for our Healing Through the Creative Arts program, which was started back in 2015. And we are very proud of this program. We've gotten a lot of great feedback. We've been able to serve a lot of the community that are, in need of mental health help and a place to be where substance free and where we welcome all diverse groups, and that we're very proud that we're able to offer this for free and at a discount to many students. This year, our focus is to expand the program, and we would like to see it grow, and we would like to be able to offer it to more people. We can go into more detail as we, go through questions, I suppose, but I just want to ask my colleagues if they have anything to add to that.
Well, through this, increased ask for funding, our hopes is that we can really kind of expand into how many people we administer classes for. We saw pretty much a huge increase since we started the Healing in the Creative Arts, to the point where we have more people who are requesting the classes than we can accommodate through the funding that we had. So word has gotten out that the Artists Association is a space where people can come and kind of work through their whatever is going on, whether there is anxiety or they're, a caretaker for somebody with special needs and they need to, make sure that they have time for themselves. Maybe somebody's looking for a sober environment. It's really, the word has gotten out there, and we started off, kind of a little bit smaller, and it's just really grown, and it's something that feels very beneficial to the community. So we're hoping to be able to continue to provide more opportunities for more people.
Tracy, go ahead, Lisbeth.
Oh, I was just gonna say, if you look at the rosters, there's a lot of town employees, lots of teachers, nurses, caretakers, that I think in Nantucket, in the winter community, you're struggling to find those places of social connection and community that people are finding in these classes through shared purpose of creative activity. So I think that the need is definitely there. The rosters show that we fill those classes and have a wait list. And if we can provide more of a front line so that the people that just need that social connection or that creative activity to help them lift up out of a winter doldrum, I think we need to meet that need.
Yeah, I'm Tom Corper from Director of Finance. As you know, we're asking for an increase in funds from what we've asked for in the past. There are a couple of reasons for that. One of them is maybe the obvious one, with inflation and costs having gone up so much in the last couple of years. Our teachers' cost for all of our teachers, that's gone up 18%. from 2 years ago. So, we've had an increase in cost, but this isn't simply about that. We're really trying to increase our, the amount of people that we can offer this to. So it's not just trying to cover increased costs, it's trying to grow the program significantly. That's really the main reason for the large increase in our ask.
And that is also due to because we see the demand for it and a lot. We see that a lot.
As Elizabeth and Liz said, they keep very accurate wait lists, and based on looking at the demand that's out there and what we've been able to fulfill in the last year, we realize that we're only reaching a very small portion of the people that really demand it. And, as Elizabeth said, in the wintertime, a safe place that people can go and that we can provide them, the opportunity to be creative, to socialize, to bond. We have we have students that say it truly is therapy. I don't know if you had a chance to read our testimonials, but the proof is in the testimonials. It's those people, it's their reactions that really make us want to expand this, because with the funds that you've graciously and generously given us, and what we take out of fundraising and basically our operating, it's just not enough to expand the program the way that we want to. We want to broaden our reach. We want to expand this program. And that's why we're asking the town for this money.
Okay, I'm just gonna say one thing. When you guys speak, because you're there in the foursome, you really have to say your name when you speak. So it gets recorded that you're doing it. Okay, sorry.
Sure.
Thank you for the reminder.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Just, okay, do you have anything else you?
I'm Hunter Brand. I just would like to add that also, these funds are used for adults and children. And we also like to see it as a welcoming and accessible and safe place for anybody who has a language barrier, cultural barrier, that they can come and be creative and, be in a classroom with everybody who is kind of, on the same page, so to speak.
You're all using their hands.
Questions? I'm gonna let Veronica go first, and then I'll go to each one of you that's in on Zoom, okay, guys?
Okay, first of all, thank you for coming. Couple of questions. You had 58 students in the program this past year. How many were on the wait list?
For the total of the year,
Right,
I'd probably say around 60 students.
so almost double. It's almost double of what you were offering.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so like each session, we run, 4 seasons, and we could accommodate, between 25 and 30 students in there. But then we probably have that same amount of people who are looking, who aren't able to get in, so they're wait list. So we definitely could, Elizabeth Buccino, by the way, sorry.
Okay. Can someone take the class more than once? So is it not just a one session, but is it possible?
Elizabeth Buccino will answer that question. We are working on kind of creating a database so that we're asking people that if they, we understand that we would love to be able to, fund that person to be able to keep taking classes session, once, in the fall, in the winter, spring. But in order to be able to accommodate more people, we ask that they, take their turns and allow other people to take a space. So we go through this database we've been collecting for the past year and a half that has a list of everybody's names, their contact information, potentially where they heard about the program, and then it's broken down by what season it is and what they've taken a class before, so that we can see when the request comes in as to whether or not they've taken a class recently. So
Yes, interject on the
Yeah.
question here.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna interject on an answer you gave so I can get a better understanding of it. She asked you how many people you had on a wait list, and you
Right.
said you have about 60.
Right.
That your classes are only 25. is that 60 people you have on a wait list waiting to get into healing with the arts? Because I know that your classes might not
Yes.
all healing in the arts classes, so if you have a class roster of 25, you're not all 25 of each class is a healing with the arts, am I correct? That you have, there's a mixture of people taking that healing of the arts scholarship and using it along with your regular students? So that when you give us a waiting list of the number that you gave for the waiting list, is that your people seeking the healing with the arts scholarship, or is that people seeking the class? Sorry.
Elizabeth speaking, seeking the scholarship.
Yeah, I'm sorry, could you repeat that? And only because a car went by, it was really loud.
Sure, that they are seeking the scholarship. They're not just seeking a seat in the class, they're seeking the funding to be able to take a free class.
So you have 60 people on the waiting list to use the Healing with the Arts Scholarship to be in one of these various classes that only have 25 students in.
So no, we offer them in any class that we offer. We
Yeah.
discovered that through in the past different iterations of whether it be senior funding, that we wanted people to be able to have the desire, the request was that people wanted to be able to have the option of taking, any kind of class, whether it's watercolor or felting or drawing, painting, ceramics. So we allot a certain amount of seats in each of our classes that we offer, that we can offer up as a funded seat.
And how
And
many
the
seats?
classes aren't
How many
25
seats? Okay,
people.
I'm gonna have both of you answer. 1 second. How many seats are there in a class that you offer this that might go to Healing with the Arts? And then Lisbeth, both of you can answer that and then I'll go back. Okay.
Sure. So it really depends on the class, but anywhere from 2 to 6 seats potentially.
In a class of
They're smaller, so we only
6 to 10.
offer a smaller amount.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Couple of other things I had here. You mentioned, increasing diversity. First of all, do you have a breakdown of your students from this past year as far as which communities you're reaching as part of the Nantucket overall?
That is an area that we're working on tracking. I just came into this position relatively recently and really working on kind of gathering that data so that we can find out, how did people hear about it? We try to respect people too, like we don't ask them why, it's just that we honor them to benefit, but we are working on tracking that information so that we can get a clearer picture.
Okay. Appreciate that very much because as you know, our community is quite diverse and sometimes reaching some of the newer members of our community is not that easy. Language barriers, etc., or just a feeling of acceptance in a program. So very much appreciate.
So Elizabeth Buccino, we've really had that success with the youth program. So we're kind of like looking at like how we can bring in those parents of the kids that are coming in taking classes. We did a lot of outreach, with the Boys and Girls Club, with the schools. So really looking at this is going away, like, let's not just talk, contact the, the hospital or fair winds, but let's look at our local, churches, spiritual organizations, just to kind of like start getting out there more into the more diverse populations. So rather than kind of pigeonhole, so kind of
Good, thank you. Thank you. I think I can let someone else take over.
No, you're done?
Yeah, I've got others, but I know that.
Oh, do you want to ask?
No, go ahead.
Okay,
I don't want to take.
okay, Bert. You're muted.
If you guys can hold the space bar, that will turn off mute temporarily, if you want to do that.
Okay, a couple of questions. What is the cost of the program per person? Do you have that information?
So the cost of our classes per person ranges anywhere from Elizabeth Buccino, anywhere from $350 to $410 per class. So that averages, I think we figured that out at about, $365, $375 as an average.
Are there any insurance companies that cover your program? Any health insurance?
I'm not aware.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm not-
gosh,
I'm
that's
not
a
aware
good
of that.
question.
You guys are asking great
Yeah.
questions.
That's a good question. We haven't been ever asked that before, Bert. Thank you.
Yeah,
So-
Bert, that's a good question.
When-
Those are my
So, Bert,
questions.
I guess I'm Tracy Sears, the executive director. And when this was initiated, and this was before my time at the Artists Association, back in 2015, and we collaborated with the Cottage Hospital, those referrals had to come with the proper referral from the hospital. So in that case, I would assume that that was covered by insurance. That's just my best guess. But given the program now and some of the places that we get referrals from, it isn't always a necessity that we get a written request. So therefore, it may not, or it may not therefore be covered under insurance. But if it's someone that's being treated for anxiety or depression by a doctor, and this was,
Prescribed or
Yeah.
suggested by the doctor.
Might
but
be
it's not
easy.
something where we accept health
Do.
insurance, but that they might be able to apply for reimbursement. That's just my.
Can you look into that, your organization?
Yes, we
That's a
would. I
great
think
idea.
it was a great question.
Okay, thank you. Bert, the other thing, going through Bert's question, how long are the classes? How many weeks?
Elizabeth Buccino speaking. They range from 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay, fabulous, thank you. Sue?
Thank you for including some of the testimonials from your students. That was really uplifting to read. So thank you for that and for all the good work. I had one question. It looks like the program costs 44,600 is what your estimate budget is, and that you're requesting 40,000 for the program. I'm wondering over the years if you're planning to incorporate, or if you've already incorporated fundraising for this program specifically, because you're asking for a lot more, which you're expanding the program, but you're contributing not so much of your own budget. So I'm wondering how you're hoping to sustain it going forward.
Tracy Sears, Executive Director. I'll answer that. As an organization, we have several fundraisers throughout the year. We have 3 very large fundraisers. We have a summer gala, like so many other nonprofits on Nantucket. We have a spring sweep event, and we also have a wet paint.
In the fall.
In the fall. And that takes a lot of staffing and energy just to do that. That money goes into general operating, which allows us to do, we actually have a three prongs to our mission. So one of those is providing year-round arts programming for the community. But we also do, in addition to that, we support approximately 300 local Nantucket artists by promoting their work and providing gallery space for them to exhibit, etc. We also, a third part of our mission and what we fundraise for is our permanent collection. We have about 1,600 pieces, and we're documenting Nantucket history from, we have pieces from the 1920s and since our inception in 1945. Those are all important parts of our mission that we're raising money to support. And so arts programming is one of the 3, and healing through the creative arts is one portion of our arts programming. So we are contributing, and if you look at our financials, you'll see we're doing everything we can to fundraise and make as much money to be able to provide year-round arts programming to support our art. So we don't do a specific fundraiser just for healing through the arts. We don't have the manpower to really do that. So it comes from our general operating. But thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Tony Corper, I mean, not selfishly, but if we can raise $1 unrestricted, it's just, we can use it for this purpose. If it's restricted to this, which is also fantastic, it of course limits us a little bit in that regard. So we love to have unrestricted funds. We can use those funds for this program is what we would do, but it isn't necessarily restricted. If we have a fundraiser for this program, of course, that would restrict it specifically.
I got it.
Again, not a problem, other than it does, it creates silos for us as we're trying to fund things.
Everybody, Joanna Roach just joined us at 4:27. Hi, Joanna. We're in the middle of the Artists Association. And John, do you have any questions?
I don't think so. I think everybody's covered the questions I might have had.
Okay, thank you. Linda, do you have questions?
Yeah, I think it might have been covered by Sue, because I know last year we spent quite a bit of time talking about independent fundraisers. You know how much I love this program from the very beginning. But we were talking about getting dedicated funding and promoting this to the Saltmarsh Center, et cetera, for people to fund it, because it's such a great program for all ages and all issues that people have, that we wanted to suggest that you run a fundraiser just for this program, because then they know exactly what they're funding. So I'm still all over that, by the way. So that's just my only question.
Okay, thank you. Joanna, I know you came in late, but did you have any questions that you had for the artists? No?
No.
Okay. Veronica, I think you had a couple and I had a couple, so.
I just have one thing. With collaboration with other organizations, does your staff get training in different mental health issues or working with individuals with disabilities, et cetera?
Elizabeth Buccino speaking. Most of the teachers that we actually have employed here have gone through different types of trainings, because they're either have worked in the school systems. So in terms of actual specific program that we have sponsored, that is something that is on our agenda to look into. I mean, everything from, a first aid response course, to, how do you deal with, a child who maybe is suffering, has like anxiety. Most of us have been educators, so it comes already from a background. But in terms of the overall staff, I can't say definitively on that.
So if I'm not mistaken, didn't we? Lisbeth Fuller, didn't the program start with a dedicated healing, like a art therapy type class that we brought to the Nantucket? And then the need was broader than that. People were looking for, well, how come I have to take that class? Like, can I take this or this or that? So I think that the impulse was to offer an array of classes, and for those people to be able to access that funding to be able to take the classes that they do want, and to provide like a front line. So it's not as if there's a therapy session happening in the class. It's more to like a front line to take off that group of people who that might be all they need, is to get out and to be working with people.
Right.
So there's professional artists, and not so much professional therapy.
My reason for asking that is you could be the first line or whatever in individuals coming to your program, and if they're exhibiting warning signs, et cetera, are your folks trained, and so a suggestion, maybe
Yeah, that's a
ongoing.
suggestion, that maybe we work with Fairwinds or something to do it for our teachers. There's a difference between our teachers and our staff, but in conjunction with both the teachers and staff. I think that's a good suggestion.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a few questions. I do want to make a statement. When this program first came to us for funding, we were, and I have constantly been on the understanding that you had trained staff that were trained in healing with the arts and trained to identify and to do everything that Veronica just spoke about. So, and I'm just saying that I went out there every year, have been very interested in what the Art Association is doing, and that is what we were told, was that your staff was trained in healing with the arts, and they were trained in identifying potential issues and how to move those in the right direction. So I'm not sure, and what I'm hearing, it sounds like they're not, and am I hearing it incorrectly? Because I thought that people were actually certified in a certain training to identify this arts and healing program, healing through the arts. So that's one of my questions. And then I have like 4 others, which I'll go through very quickly when you answer that, because we do have the next person in. And Ray, we do notice that you have come in, but we will get to you in just a minute. Okay, thank you. Anybody that could answer that question for me would be great.
Well, I'm Liz Hunt O'Brien, and I have been here since the beginning of it, and it did start out small with the Community Foundation funding us. Then you were next, and at the time that we started with you, you are correct. We started out with bringing therapists in to help us, to guide us in teaching. And we even had, I don't know if you remember, Jessica Guevara, who came up through our program and then came back and was working with us as a therapist, I think mostly with children. What happened was, along the way, we decided, okay, maybe we need to hire a clinical therapist on our staff. And as we evolved, we realized, what we do is we teach art, and that's where our strengths are. And we as the program evolved, we moved more into, okay, come and take any class that you want. You don't have to take this specific class with the therapist. And you can, take whatever you want, and focused, I suppose, more on healing. Maybe somebody has been through work with a therapist, and this is a way to ease the burden on the Fairwinds and all the other substance abuse programs on Nantucket, to help further that along. And I understand your point, and I think it's a good one. It probably is a matter of funding that too, but I think that we felt that we should focus on what our strengths are, and that's teaching art with professional artists. And as Liz Buccino addressed, that many of them do come with training in other, in classroom situations, and that I'm sure they all probably have the idea of when to refer to, to organization that can handle the situation better than us. And I think that's always on our mind, is that we would be referring us.
And I think it's Tracy Sears, executive. I do think it's that collaboration, that if Fairwinds is making a referral to us, we're working together and collaborating and working together for the best needs of that patient or that student.
Okay, thank you. I have a couple of questions. Besides your newsletters and emails, and you said that you're reaching out to the Boys and Girls Club, and what about things not affiliated with mental health, but actually deal with it, like AA, NA, doctor's offices? Are you reaching out to those people to tell them that these are available? I'm gonna do this in 3 questions so that you can answer all 3 of them, okay? The next one is, it has come to my attention quite a few times that people have had a bit of a problem navigating your site to get into Healing for the Arts to apply for those scholarships. And how do you reform that and fix that? And how do you reach that group of 18 to 25-year-olds, which is a key, that are out of the school systems, that maybe are out there seeking this and don't know how quite to get to it? How are you reaching that group? And I do have a bunch of other questions, but because we're running out of time, those are going to,
Okay, Elizabeth Buccino. We pretty much are kind of like focusing on we have our social media accounts where we make announcements of different types of programming. And I think that the younger demographic really kind of taps into the social media. So whether it's between, Instagram and Facebook, we send out emails to the schools, to the hospital, to the different, Fairwinds, Addiction Solutions, Gosnold. We also reaching out to the different churches. I think I said that already. So really kind of starting there. And what was
And you mentioned the hospital.
in the hospital? Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can I make a suggestion there real quick? A Boys and Girls Club, you use them already. Ask them to send out a group text to the people that come in and use the facility late at night. He will be more than willing to do that. He puts out a blanket one. Maybe let them know that this program is available to that 18 to 25-year-old.
And also with, we are starting, working on collaborating with Our House, which I think has a lot of that age group that you're talking about. And, we always try, we really, every year we, work on getting funding for our teen portfolio class, which is a popular and, we try to get that to be funded also. And that's the same age group there.
Okay.
If you look at
All right. I
And
think,
sorry, the website, did we want to address that?
Well, our website, I haven't heard that actually. Our website, we completely redid only a year and a half ago. So it's a brand new website. So I don't know if those are old complaints. In terms of funding specifically healing funds, it says right there on the class registration page to contact Liz B at nantucketarts.org. So that's actually a new complaint I haven't heard of since my short time here.
Okay, it's just been a consistent one that I've heard. Okay, I have some other questions, which I'm actually gonna give to Jericho because of our time restraints today.
Okay.
And send them to you. If you don't mind. And I just want to say, the one thing I did notice is that you do have a large amount of money that you do in fundraising, which is amazing. And one of the big questions we would ask is, if we didn't fund this program, how would you fund it and how would you keep it in place?
I'll answer that. I mean, we do, like I said, this is one portion of, our three missions or three prongs of our mission. And if we didn't get the funding from the town, we would probably have to scale back the program or scale back what we were hoping to expand.
So scale back what you were hoping to expand or keep it where it is?
We have the funding to keep it where it is. But we were coming to the town and asking for more funding because we really feel like there's a need here and we want to be able to broaden our reach and expand our ability to do that. And that's why we're asking for the additional funding.
Okay, fabulous.
Good.
Thank you guys very much. I really appreciate it. We really appreciate the program that you run and the people's lives that you affect a great deal. As anybody that does anything to help with the mental health of anybody in this community means you're touching more than one person each time you just touch that one. So thank you very much.
And they're really
Thank
thoughtful
you.
questions. Thank you very much. It's really.
Thank you.
And thank you for your time. And we will be sending a few other questions your way. And I
Perfect.
look forward to
Answer right.
responses. Okay. Thank you guys. It was nice meeting all of you.
thank you.
Thank you as well.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Raymond, sorry for the delay in time.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good.
Awesome. Nice to see you again, sir.
Thank you.
As you know, Tom Dixon has joined us too, and I know that you saw that, but I just have to announce to people that didn't see it. And Gary.
Gary Breton.
Okay, thank you. It's, my glasses cannot allow me to see that far.
It's pretty small text.
Okay, Ray, make your pitch to us. If you can
Sure.
just tell us what the funding is for.
Okay. So, well, my name is Raymond Yox. I'm the managing attorney of the Hyannis Office of South Coastal County's Legal Services. We're the legal aid provider for Southeastern Massachusetts. We've been providing free legal services to low-income and elderly people, probably going back to the late 60s when funding first started for that nationally. And we're the product of a merger from a smaller organization that just did the Cape and Islands until this larger Southeastern Massachusetts organization now with probably about over 50 attorneys in the program. But I manage the Hyannis office. We have a staff of 9 people here, and our service part of the program is the Cape and Islands and actually a little bit of Plymouth County. And we've been receiving a grant from the town of Nantucket for about as long as we've been giving human services grants, and we use that as kind of a focal point to provide the special services to Nantucket that are needed, and it helps our overall funding picture. So what we do here at Legal Services is we provide free civil legal services to low-income and elderly people. For low income, we look at people's income, and they have to be below 200% of the federal poverty level. And we can actually provide free legal services to anybody age 60 and over with certain elder grants that we get under the Older Americans Act. But again, it's civil legal services. We don't do any criminal work. And with the funding we get, we try to prioritize what we do and filling the greatest need for low-income and elderly people and the types of legal problems they may have. So over the years, most of our work is in the area of housing law, family law, benefits work. We do a lot of immigration work now, not so much out of the Hyannis office, but out of a subsidiary we formed so that we could do more immigration work called the Justice Center. It's located in our Brockton office, but there's staff served throughout our service area. We do some consumer issues, some educational issues, but I think housing, family, immigration have become probably our biggest areas, and then benefits issues. So by housing, what I mean is usually people facing critical housing issues such as eviction, possible foreclosure, loss of subsidies in housing. There's usually procedures involved to prevent that from being lost, due process, and losing any type of public benefit, such as a housing voucher, or if you're a tenant facing eviction, the landlord has to bring you into court to do so, and tenants have a better chance for success and maybe even preserving their housing if they're represented. So we do a lot of housing work. It's kind of a major problem throughout the area right now with the cost of housing and the lack of affordable housing, and rental property in general is pretty short. And I know that the crisis in Nantucket is even worse. I mean, there's really not much in the way of affordable housing on Nantucket at the moment. So when people are faced with a crisis of loss of housing, there's not too many options other than trying to keep them where they are or find some soft landing somewhere else. Family law, we generally represent people who are victims of domestic violence. That's probably our big priority. So normally we're looking for that. If there's domestic violence involved, that's the type of client we want to try to assist and provide representation to. And then our work is done in the probate and family court, which there's a probate and family court that sits on Nantucket. And we represent people in divorce actions, getting custody, child support, protective orders, the whole gamut of family law issues. For public benefits, it's usually people trying to get certain government benefits, what we call entitlement programs. People who are eligible should receive some type of benefit, but sometimes there's a question about eligibility, and government agencies may deny somebody benefits. They have a right then to challenge a denial through a fair hearing process, kind of their due process rights. So people who are trying to collect Social Security, disability benefits, unemployment compensation, or some of the welfare benefits that still exist, the food, what used to be called food stamps, it's now called the SNAP program, and then the health programs too, Mass Health in Massachusetts, and then the federal Medicare program people oftentimes have issues getting those benefits or continuing those benefits or getting those benefits to work for them. And we advocate for individuals and helping them with their benefits issues, either becoming eligible for those benefits or preventing them from being cut off, or making sure that they're receiving the appropriate benefits that they should be getting when agencies may deny them a certain service. Immigration is kind of a broad scale thing, and there's, I see a real need on Nantucket. We do go to Nantucket on a monthly basis. As part of our grant, we've promised to come there on a monthly basis and do outreach to the island. And a lot of the people I see when I go over there are people who aren't U.S. citizens. They're here on various reasons for different types of immigration statuses, maybe some even undocumented. And but they're living there, working there. It's kind of I think their need is great, and Nantucket needs them to work in the stores and provide the services, and they need the ability to live somewhere and have their issues met. And so through our office, but then also the Justice Center, I think we were able to meet some of the needs of some of the immigrant population that is on Nantucket and provide them legal services also. There are some restrictions on providing, especially undocumented people, legal services by some of our funding sources, and that's really the point of the Justice Center, which gets unrestricted funds and can help individuals, despite their citizenship status, and getting needed legal services to help them, with the problems that they may be having. And then sometimes there's special needs for elders, sometimes transactional services such as healthcare proxies, powers of attorney, maybe some advice on estates and wills issues come up. And again, it's the elderly that usually have like Medicare issues where they need help with getting maybe medical attention or getting medical bills paid through Medicare when there's some question about their eligibility, or Medicare saying they won't cover something. They can challenge those decisions, and usually representation is helpful to provide those services. So again, it's our attorneys that do this work. Clients come to us through an intake process. We determine through that intake process that they are eligible for our services based on their income, where they live. And we try to assist everybody throughout our service area. We don't want to find barriers to going to like kind of remote places within our service area, such as Nantucket or Martha's Vineyard, or even getting into Provincetown is sometimes difficult. But we want to be accessible to everybody throughout our service area and provide the services to them. So the funding that we get from the towns helps us in meeting some of those challenges. The travel to Nantucket can be somewhat costly to get over there, and once you get there, to get to the locations that you need to go to. So again, we're very appreciative of the funding we get from the town to help us meet some of those extra financial burdens that we may have when we try to provide those services. And then besides our attorneys, we are able at times to enlist the help of the private bar and doing pro bono work. So there are some attorneys that will volunteer their time, don't work for our program, but we help coordinate getting them cases, and private attorneys in certain instances will provide free legal services to some of our clients, and we keep track of their pro bono hours, and so they know what they've done. So it's kind of a way of expanding our services is through the pro bono work of the private bar, and our program has a pro bono coordinator that keeps track of the volunteer attorneys and tries to get them assigned appropriate cases and follow up on their work. I think we served about a dozen people, I think 11 people in Nantucket last year. I think our numbers are down since the coronavirus and all. It's kind of I think a disruption in our ability to really reach out to the island and reach people who are in need. I'm hoping the numbers are a little bit improved, and I believe they can continue to grow. Our organization is growing. We're getting larger, the funding is overall is better. And I should also like to mention that we do have a new executive director for our program. He's now been there a year, but the executive director for our organization is now Christopher Oldie. Took the place of Susan Noggle, who'd been here for about, well, she'd been in our program for quite a number of years, but she was the director for about 12 years. And she recently resigned, and Christopher Oldie is our new executive director. So that's part of the big organizational development. But I've been working here in Hannah's office probably since 1997, and again, supervise the staff here. And again, I think we're able to cover the needs of Nantucket and get our attorneys out there and attend the courts that are there, the district court, and sometimes housing cases can go there. We usually try to encourage people now to use the housing court, which is available in the southeast, but the housing court is not as accessible to people on Nantucket, and maybe easier to still go to district courts, even though I think the housing courts are a little more aware of housing issues than the district courts are, but still it's accessibility sometimes. But we're very willing to go over to Nantucket and go to district court for housing matters, and then the probate and family court there for family law matters. And then those kind of a snapshot of our services. Again, there is no cost to the recipients. Once they're eligible, they're not charged any fee. We provide all levels of legal assistance. Some cases maybe only need counsel and advice, read services, write a letter, make a phone call or two. But oftentimes people need representation in the courts of the Commonwealth, and we provide our attorneys, and they do represent litigants in like the district courts and not family court and housing court, and then also in administrative proceedings when they appealed like denials of different types of benefits, and in immigration courts. So
okay, thank you, Raymond. Does anybody have a question? Joanna? No? Linda?
No,
Linda?
no,
Bert?
very good presentation.
thank you.
Bert?
No, I just congratulate them for coming over here, and I think we barely covered the cost of transportation to come and go.
Yes, you do.
Sue?
No questions, just a thank you for all the good work.
Thank you.
Veronica?
Likewise, just thank you.
I do have one question.
Sure.
First, thank you. Raymond, thank you for always being there. Question, you brought up the immigration law and the immigrant population that you are serving, and that seems to be the higher number that you're working with right now. Is that what you said? Do you know how many actual people in the that you're doing in immigration law?
Well,
You don't have to, just a rough idea, it's fine.
I gave you some statistical reports. It's under the individual rights, so it'd be 6 of the people we served were probably immigration issues.
Okay, fabulous. Okay,
Thank you.
Raymond, thank you very much. We know bang for buck, this is our biggest bang for buck in our town grant. What you provide is something so many people, are intimidated about and cannot afford to do. So we're very grateful that you're there for the whole sector of the island, providing the service to them. And if you could do me a favor and just send to Jericho the locations where you guys will be in the next 6 months, that would be really great.
Yeah, we usually send out a list or a calendar. I mean, we either go to the courthouse, Safe Place, or Salt Marsh, or rotating locations for services. And we usually do send out an annual schedule, but would it come out in January? So I'll check and see what happened to it, but I'll be glad to send Jericho a copy.
Fabulous.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. I really appreciate it. Great to have it. Raymond, thank you very much.
Well, good to see you all again. Take care.
Wonderful
Have a
to
good
see you. Night.
Just lose.
We are.
Interfaith is in, but we just had one person disconnect before we're in.
Tom and
Here he is, Tom
Tom's here,
Dixon.
then Tom, Gary, and Janice.
Bert's not here.
Oh, we lost Bert. Okay, so
Lost
what does
Bert.
that put us?
I need to recuse at this moment.
On the food pantry?
Yes, because the warming place.
Yeah.
Oh, so you have to recuse on 3 tonight.
Yep.
Apologies.
We have a form.
We
have
do,
a form,
we do.
okay. Okay, fabulous. Welcome, and I'm gonna have you, by, law, you have to introduce yourselves to us. Well, how this process goes is that you will introduce yourself and you'll make your presentation and the board members will then ask you questions. As you notice, Sue has reclused herself from this due to her affiliation with the warming place.
Okay, Gary, is it okay if I start?
Please.
Yes.
Okay, so, oh my God, folks, another year has
I know,
passed.
I need you all to introduce yourself by law, so they can't see, it has to be recorded, your name.
Okay, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that right now.
Thank you.
Janice Carrero, Executive Director for the Nantucket Interfaith Council's outreach programs. I'm gonna have I have with us Gary Brenton Granitor, who is the president of the Nantucket Interfaith Council. I'm going to turn this over to him in a minute. And Tom Dixon, who is the assistant executive director for the outreach programs of the Nantucket Interfaith Council. Tom has spent a lot of time with the food pantry, so he may have some discussion. But he is a selectman, so he will recuse himself at the time of voting at that level. If that's the correct way to handle this. So with that, I would ask Gary if he would like to make any opening remarks or if he would like to wait until the end.
I'll wait until the end. I think that would be better, but I just preliminarily just want to thank all of the folks who have supported us up until now, and we hope we can count on your continued support for the incredibly important work that the Interfaith Council has done through the Food, Fuel, and Rental Assistance Program, and now the warming place. So I'll let Janice take over.
Hey, Janice, I want to make something, I'm just gonna have a discussion with my board for 1 second. I believe last year when Jason Bridges sat on the Fairwinds, he could not be part of the presentation.
Tom Dixon.
Tom Dixon, Tom, I'm not sure that you can sit there, but I'm not sure that you can be part of the presentation.
He can be part of the presentation under the open meeting law, but he cannot be part of the discussion at the select board level.
He would have to
At the select
recuse
board, but
himself.
he can now, because I know that Jason didn't do it. He wasn't,
He recused himself from select board matters.
he also didn't present at the meetings at all.
Yeah, but I don't know that that is mandated by rule or if that was a
Decision.
decision he
Okay,
made.
we're just gonna go with that.
It's not mandated, just so you know, it's not mandated. Tom can
Yeah, I heard
represent
you.
as long as he's not his own board.
Thank you. So Tom, that was just for a second to make sure that we had a clear understanding, okay? Thank you. Okay, Janice, go.
Okay, and before I begin, I just want to add that we did ask Deborah Dubois, who had been, for all intents and purposes, the lead of the warming place before it became part of the Nantucket Interfaith Council when it was an all-volunteer group. We did ask her if she wanted to participate in this conversation, but she is away in Thailand, and so I think she decided
She gets a pass.
in Thailand. So anyway, I'm going to do this very quickly, and then we can get to the questions. I do believe that everyone I see on the screen has heard our presentation in the past. Am I incorrect on that? Is there any new member I'm not seeing?
You are, but if there's each year there must be something different that you have.
No, and I just didn't want to go into, I wanted to make it as quick, as brief as possible. We do, the Nantucket Interfaith Council, I'll do this very quickly, does run 4 outreach, now 5 outreach programs, which are which provide services to the community. They include the food pantry, which think everyone is pretty much familiar with. Rental and utility assistance programs, which have been around since 2001, 2007, the other 2017. We brought on this year, we have brought on the warming place as part of our organization. That provides both a day and an evening overnight shelter this year for folks who are temporarily or homeless. And that operation runs from November through April. And this is going to be our first year providing overall operations for that program. We have another program that we operate, which is emergency medical travel off island. That's a level 2 program, but that is not part of this grant. So this grant involves the food pantry, rental and utility assistance, and the warming place. Very quickly, food pantry services for low income and no income residents and workers who on the island. We do that through an operation at 10 Washington Street behind the NRTA bus station. The pantry is open Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays from 3 to 6, when folks can come to the pantry and receive both protein, fresh produce, and shelf-stable food. Wednesday morning, we also operate a home delivery service for the elderly, the sick, and the injured. Program's 30 years old, very well known in the community. This year, a couple of new things with the pantry. We're in the final year of the food security grant, which is essentially a COVID grant. We are in that final year. That grant has pretty much double the amount of food we give to our clientele. It assisted us in the purchase of new refrigeration units and a new van. This year we have instituted a new database system for the pantry. It's called Pantry Soft. And it is doing all of the, it maintains all of our database, does all of our accounting for us. Because it is a new program, we're counting some things a little slightly different than we did in the past to accommodate that program, but that program has significantly reduced the time that clients have to spend on intake with us. They hold the what do you call it, tablet. They register themselves. We go over with it. So a lot of paper has disappeared. And it has really sped things up at the pantry. We did take over in September. We took over the Fresh Connect program from the NRP, Nantucket Resource Partnership. That program provides that individuals receive a card, which is basically loaded with funding that they can use. On this island, it's basically the Stop and Shop. If you were off island, you'd be able to go to a few other places like Walmart or BJ's, but on this island, you can go to the Stop and Shop and you can purchase fresh produce of your choosing. There are currently 60 people enrolled in that program. We inherited that program with the 60 people. We are looking to maybe change some of the qualifiers, and with the intent of adding more people to the program. The funding for that program ends in June. We have, because it was part of the food security, and we're looking at other funding sources to keep it going. rent and utility assistance program has basically been stable since it began in 2004. It provides temporary rental assistance the rental assistance program does for island residents who have lived here a minimum of 2 years. They go through a qualification process, providing information on income, where they live, type of residence they live in, and we provide rental assistance for basically last year was like 99 households. They run the gamut from the seasonal worker to the elderly, and to the sick and injured, and the average payout is maybe one to 3 or 4 months. And that could be the entire rent, depending upon the circumstances, or a portion of the rent. Utility program, we continue to try to first get people registered with the state program, the low income home energy assistance program, for those folks who can qualify for that program. It is a very low income quality program. It requires status, citizenship or green card status. It has a very detailed application process. So we are basically just registering new individuals to that program, because after the first year, they can now re-register themselves. We have a contract to do a small utility assistance program with the Salvation Army, but the bulk of the rest of the work that we do is a direct pay to vendors to avoid shut off and or to get folks put on budget plans. Warming Place, very new to us this year. This is the first year that the program is operating an overnight shelter. Currently operating, it began in November. We had been providing shelter at the Summer Street Church and the Methodist Church 6 nights a week. We as of last week, we put on a Sunday. Okay. And we have hired that program has employees hired who are at the shelter whenever the clients are there. They're averaging about 6 to 7 overnight clients, people who actually sleep overnight at the shelters. There are probably 10 people who come in every night. Basically, many of them come just for dinner and they leave. Variety of reasons variety of reasons why they don't stay at the shelter. And then the day shelter, which operated last year, is on Mondays and I believe Thursdays. It operates for I think 3 or 4 hours during the day. People receive a lunch. And that is manned, so at this point in time, solely by volunteers. We have hired a program manager for the Warming Place, who supervises all of the employees and schedules all of the volunteers. And that's about all I can, unless you want to hear numbers.
I think that somebody will have questions towards the numbers, so we'll allow them to ask those when they come in. Do either one of you, Tom or Gay, do either of you want to, what, Jericho? Gary, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm sorry, Gary, I apologize. My glasses cannot read the sign up on the screen, so I apologize. Tom, do either one of you two have anything that you would like to add to this?
We're happy to add. Yeah. Go ahead, Tom.
I was just say, Madam Chair, I think Janice covered everything that I would have covered.
Okay, thank you. Gary?
Only that we're dealing with Nantucket's infrastructure. I mean, those are the people that we're serving. And without them, Nantucket would not function. So the importance of our work can't be overemphasized. These people we depend upon, and we are humbled by the fact that we need to do this work, but we believe, the Interfaith Council believes, that this is absolutely critical work to the character of Nantucket. These people are important to us, and we need to be able to help serve them, because more often than not, they're there to serve us.
Okay.
The only-
We had people join us, and if you guys would just say your names so it can be up on the recording so people know that you're just that you're here and why you're here.
Okay.
It's okay. This is just so you know the interfaith putting their presentation on, but
Okay. Well, excuse us for interrupting. I'm Debbie Dolan. I'm a nurse practitioner, and I'm the manager for the Palliative and Supportive Care Program of Nantucket.
And I'm Andrea Giletti. I'm a co-chair of Palliative and Supportive Care of Nantucket.
okay. Thank you, guys. I just had to let you know they were in the room.
That's okay. And we were.
Okay, so
We were.
I'm gonna start with Joanna, because Joanna, you look like you had some questions right off the bat. So I'm gonna start with Joanna.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to hear some of the numbers, Janice.
Okay.
If you could run us through, I'm super interested in knowing how many people are served kind of in each section of your pie.
Okay,
Right?
not a problem. I'll start with the food pantry. Of course, we have year-end statistics from last fiscal year because we run from July through September, and then I have numbers as of December 31st.
Okay.
Of course, this grant is projecting what's going to happen in 2025. So, just some of the numbers in fiscal year 23. There were 10,539 visits to the pantry. That means coming through the door, each coming each week, picking up food. As of December 31st, the number was 5,800. So you can see we're with 6 months to go. We're right on target for those numbers of visits. And also remember that January, February, and March, when none of the seasonal workers are working, that's when these numbers are gonna start to come up. Last year, we served 1,652 unique households on the island. I'm always asked, how many households on Nantucket do we service? So last year it was 1,652. As of December 31st, we're at 1,379. So you can see we're coming right along. The unique number of individuals served last year was 3,076, and as of December 31st, it's 2,841. So you can see the mix of the types of people from year to year vary, and that's what that number tells me. There may be more single individuals at one point, bigger families at another, but that's the number. Total number of bags distributed last year, that's bags of food, 21,959. As of December 31st this year, 11,715. That tells me we're giving folks more food based on the grant, on the food security grant. I think those are the basic numbers for the food pantry. If I'm missing something, let me know. But I mean, that's the way we count. Rental assistance. Last year, we served 99 households to the tune of I'm going to round it out, $389,000 in rental assistance. Just a comparison, the first 2 quarters of last fiscal year, we paid out $129,340. That's from July to December last year. This year, for the same period, we're at 140,652, sign of rising rental rates, inflation. I'm sorry, I didn't get the exact number on that, but I could get the numbers of households, but I'm going to guess they're a little bit higher this year than last. Utility assistance, last year we paid out, in addition to the applications for LHEAP and Salvation Army, we paid out $38,251 to 36 households. I'm going to give you first quarter of 23, we paid out 13,050. Same time this year, 15,305. And I'm going to put a caveat on those numbers. We are $2,000 ahead, but the preponderance of utility assistance occurs in January, February, and March, because that is the heating system. I just saw the numbers significantly jump for January, but they're not in the count. Warming Place is brand new. The numbers I gave you are what we have so far. There are 6 to 7 people every night at the on average at the Warming Place staying overnight. Of those 6 to 7, 5 of them are what we call regulars. They come all the time. And we generally have about 10 for dinner every night. So we have some folks who come for dinner, but for a variety of reasons, some folks don't like the atmosphere. Some folks don't want to be inside. We had one individual who came, but because there's no smoking, he got up at 1 o'clock. We told him if he went out the door, he's not coming back in. He said, I'm gone. So he left. It's a new program to us, and it will, I think we saw a little more people last week because of the frigid cold. We opened Sunday night, yesterday, because of the cold. It's going to be a function. Some of this is going to be a function of weather. And for the day program, we regularly are seeing about 10 to 12 people. They come in, they have coffee, they have a lunch, they're served a lunch. And I think at around 1 o'clock they leave.
Thank you. Joanna, you have any other questions? You're muted.
Sorry, thank you very much. I think my other question would be, these numbers appear to be growing, unfortunately, and that's not really, that's just, I think, a reflection of the times that we're in and the needs of the community. And I'm wondering about other sorts of fundraising for these organizations and how you're looking at that and what you're thinking about in that regard.
We're thinking very seriously about it, particularly knowing that a $250,000 grant is going to be done in June, and $155,000 grant for Fresh Connect is going to go away in June. So we have started. Tom is heading up a fundraising group which we are putting together. Last Friday, Gary, I met with a group of folks from your congregation who are looking to do some stuff to jump in on that fundraising. We always are looking for.
Yeah, just so that you know, Shirat Hayam has decided that it's dedicating all of its fundraising for the community to this work. So anything that they raise in terms of not support for the congregation, but support for Nantucket, Shirat Hayam has decided that anything that they raise will be going to Nantucket food, fuel, and rental assistance.
And in addition to money, Gary, when I was speaking to the 3 individuals who we talked about not only funds, but expertise. They have a very varied congregation, many of them off island in the wintertime. We talked about their being able to provide some legal expertise.
Right.
If we ever found a place to move to, some architectural expertise, some very interesting to me, management expertise, particularly in accounting, I should mention Gary and I have talked, and as soon as we get the warming place moved from their essentially checkbook operation to our QuickBooks operation, we are going to secure we are going to hire an accountant to do a review of how we accounting things, essentially a semi-audit, and so that we can start next year with a more robust accounting system.
And audit for potential fundraising purposes. I mean, having an audit is absolutely critical if you're going to do major fundraising, and that's what we are going to need to do. And frankly, down the road, we're going to have to purchase a place to put the food pantry, because the needs of the community are much greater than the current square footage that we have available to us in the current place. So we're going to have to find some place on the island that is accessible on a bus route, so that those who need the food pantry will be able to access it. But we also need more space. So we have plans in the works for major league fundraising, not just for the programs, but also, if need be, to secure a space for the food pantry.
Well, that is right in line with the next question that I have, which is that I know in years past, we've talked a little bit about issues with trucks and refrigeration and access to the space and some other sort of operational issues. And I'm wondering how, if there's been improvements to some of those issues.
Well, first of all, we have a brand new van, which we can now use to move food around the island. We have changed the way we are bringing food to the island, not so much relying on the steamship, although they've been very, very, very helpful to us in making sure we got on and get off the island, get back on. But we're now using a trucking service, a refrigerated trucking service, which can bring more food than our van was able to do. We've changed to that methodology.
And also going through major purveyors who regularly come to the island to service restaurants. We've been making use of, through the expertise that Ruth Pitts brings to the food pantry. She's been able to secure wholesale products that make our dollar go a lot farther. And those trucks are coming onto the island regularly anyway.
Right. Thank you, Gary. I was going to have, that is a big, where we're getting food from is also changing. We'll always be with the Greater Boston Food Bank, but we are now using, we're using the ability to use some of the services that where food people are bringing stuff to the restaurants that we're able to bring on. And Ruth was able to do that. She and I talked about a couple of other things we're going to try to do next year. So we're just looking to become more efficient all the time. And Joanne, I just want to mention one other thing. Back at finances, we were able to bring on this year 5 foundations, anywhere from the $20,000 to the $30,000 or $40,000 range that we had never had before. So we're looking at it.
Okay.
That's exactly why we need an audit, because if we're going to continue to reach out to foundations, we need to be fiscally transparent, and having an audit would, or at least an accounting that is close to an audit is absolutely critical.
So you guys have never had an audit before?
No.
Okay.
We've done it internally, but because we don't fill out a 990, it wasn't required by law.
Right.
But we're at the point now, we have become 4 major programs, $1 million operation. We're at the point now that whether we have to do it or don't do it, we're going to create the 990. We're just not going to, the churches need to maintain their autonomy with the IRS. So we're gonna do whatever we need to do.
Okay.
Joanna, are you
yeah.
done? Are you done so I can move on?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. I didn't mean to be rude. They're just, we have people in the waiting room. John, did you have any questions? Sorry, you're muted.
No, I did not. I had just unmuted.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Linda Williams, do you have any questions?
No, I'm well familiar with all the, all the stuff that they do, and I've always been a major supporter for what they do. So I'm very happy with the very detailed explanation, and I'm happy with the figures because last year we asked for those also. So I'm satisfied.
Okay, Veronica?
Okay, thank you. One thing I want to point out is you've got 3,800 volunteer hours. I don't know of any organization on the island that manages that, and I am one of those volunteers, so I am very invested in this program without a doubt. I do appreciate your a little bit more in depth on numbers this year, and also Gary, you being here, giving an overview that we had not gotten last year. I'm very concerned of where money's gonna come to the Fresh Connect program that is new, just starting in January. And if those funds are gone, if it's being promoted, what's gonna happen? Where is the money for that gonna come through? And a couple of
Just to
things,
answer,
so.
we have secured a $50,000 grant to go forward. So that's
With
just
the Fresh
starting,
Connect?
but we were able to get it.
Oh, I thought you said you were waiting to hear. So you have 50,000 starting in
No,
June?
we applied to a major grantor on the island and said, we need to move forward. We want to add more people than this grant is allowing us to do. We'd like, and they gave us a 50,000 grant to move forward. We're holding that, and we're going to use that going forward to add more folks and to keep the thing running, but we're going to need a lot more.
Okay.
And we're also going to look at, as I mentioned before, we're going to look seriously at the criteria. And is it properly, is it fully utilized? Can we open it up more? You know, I'll just give you an example. The criteria was it was paying for infants who don't eat produce. So we're gonna look to change that to have a minimum age per person in the program at an age where they'd actually be eating the produce.
Okay. All right. One other question I have, I realize fundraising is an extremely important thing, whether it's through private on-island fundraising or finding grants. I look at, you've got very few employees in the organization, but you have yourself and Tom as more of executives. How do you break out what you do and what are each, if there's clear lines and who's focusing on what?
Right. Well, Tom came on in was it January or July? The goal is that he is going to replace me as executive director, and we are going to have a conversation tomorrow about how far along we are in that process. I will back off and probably will stay on a little while to run the rental assistance and the utility program as a program manager, but we will not as a program manager, much as Ruth is a program manager, much as we have a program manager for the warming place, but the executive duties are going to slowly, gradually move, hopefully faster than maybe Tom's ready for, but we have a plan in place, and we're meeting once a quarter to see what we've accomplished and where we're going to go forward. So, I mean, I don't know if that answered your question. If you're asking how we divide out time, right now, Tom is concentrating more on the food pantry and fundraising, and I am concentrating on the accounting and essentially, I'm still running the rent and food, the rent, utility, and the medical program.
Okay. So grants, et cetera, fall under Tom, looking for additional funding, et cetera.
As we move to that, making that switch over, yes. And we do have a development employee who has done some phenomenal work in bringing some of these new foundations in, and she does a lot of the, I used to do all of the writing, all of the grants. She's now at the point where she's doing a yeoman's portion of that.
And grantsmanship is an art, and she's proven herself to be capable of taking on that art. She's responsible for what you have in front of you in large measure.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm gonna let someone else take over for a while.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. I will make to point to something that Veronica said. I think that we were told a couple of years ago that this Tom's coming on, he would be taking over. It's not very often that we see two executive directors of a organization. So a projected date that might happen would be very interesting, because for all of us, it's a lot of money we see in a base salary system. But going to that, and to one of the things that I always find a little bit confusing, numbers don't match up. And I have a whole bunch on even just on the salaries that just don't seem to match up and breaking out, and they might just be minimal numbers. But when you see differences of like $300 or $27 here or 16, and I wonder why these breakouts are this way, and if we run into problems in other places within the finances of the Interfaith Council. And then going to the budget, there's the Interfaith Council overhead expenses, or they seem to just be that nothing shows as a base of the whole. You have each one broken down, but not what the whole Interfaith Council expenses are. They're not showing, at least on my budget. And then under the food transportation, there's a staff food transfer cost of $1,000. I'm not quite sure what that is, and what the expenses of $500 for the Highline would be. And then then there's under the warming center, there's postage in a $500, which is almost as much as it's costing for, or even more than it's costing for the food pantry and postage. And I'm just wondering why those costs are so high up there.
Okay.
Along with the printing, I have a bunch of questions, as you can tell. And there was expenses rent at 3,000 for underneath 3,780 for rent for the warming place, but I thought all those places were donated. So just like when I look at this, I see a bunch of questions within that budget. A lot of those are big questions, Janice. I can have them sent to you so that you can respond to them written for us, which might be easier for you.
Yeah,
And then I'm going to some questions.
You went very quickly, but I know the Highline is we maintain a book of commuter books in case staff goes over with the van and bad weather shuts everything down, and they need to come back early, or we've had a breakdown of the truck on occasion. The staff had to come back on the Highline, or we've left the truck because of ability to get on, and the staff came back. So it's 10 tickets that are sitting there in case we need them for those kind of reasons. Sometimes occasionally some person has gone over with the van, but we needed 2 persons to go, so we had somebody take the Highline over on the later boat and meet them at the Greater Boston Food Bank. That's what those tickets are for. Food pantry.
Okay, so I think maybe the best way to get these questions answered might be that we send them out and then they get written back to everybody, because there's a lot of different things on this. if you
And
look
the
at finances that, I have questions on, so I think that might be best that I write my questions and the board gets to see what I just requested and we get the answers in writing.
That's fine.
And I'm gonna go on to a couple others.
Go ahead.
On the Matticat Road office, since now we have two people basically running this, is the office open on Matticat Road? And if so, what are your hours of operation?
I mean, I do all interviewing of clients at 2 Matticat Road. So yes, I met a client there this morning. It is open. We also have a second storage facility for the food pantry at 2 Matticat Road now, where we have extra refrigeration and storage so that we could bring more food over than is currently what we can currently house at 10 Washington Street. So yes, the 2 Matticat Road is used.
But if you have open office, like, do you have open office hours where somebody could say, oh, I hear the office is open from 9 to 2 every day, Monday through Friday, and we can just drop in? Because sometimes when the crisis hits, people are looking for that versus signing up for an appointment. And Tom, I did see your hand up, so I'll take your hand.
Yes, Madam Chair, I just want to say that on the storage at our office, that is pending health department inspection. So it is coming, but it is not being in use. I just didn't want to give anybody, especially the health department, the thought that we're using it without being inspected. So that is certainly coming.
Thank you.
But I mean, I guess my question is the office, like, do you have drop-in office hours where people aren't because crises happen where life falls apart, it can fall apart in a day. And having to wait with having 2 executives, is there any way that you have office hours available to people on a daily basis where they can get in and out?
All of the appointments are by appointment, and that's for a variety of reasons. Number one, I'm going to say at least 50, maybe 60% of the people we see are referrals from other nonprofits, and they have initially met with the client. They give me a call. I've talked to the hospital social service office today. We agreed that I would meet the person at the office at such and such a time. They also need to bring certain documents with them, and a drop-in is going to be is not going to be fruitful because they're not going to have the data that they need with them. So, people will call for an appointment. I'm talking now rents and utility. They will call for an appointment. I will set up a time to meet them. I will tell them what to bring so that when we do sit down and talk, it's a productive use of time. So it is by appointment, but they're made, I mean, to sit part of that office is my office there is not heated. So we have a small area that is, so I could sit there all day and no one would come in. It's just far more productive to be by appointment.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I would just add that also quite often we have to schedule interpreter services, and that is an additional, a worthy time investment, but it does occasionally take time to set those appointments up.
Okay, thank you for doing that. On the homeless shelter, the grant states that they're white and people of color. Can you identify actually the demographics when you say people of color?
Those are identified. I don't have it in front of me, but they're identified in the monthly reporting for the security grant. I do know when 2 or 3 times when I was at the shelter, there were 3 or 4 Hispanics. There were 2 African American, and the rest were white. And I'm going to guess that runs through.
Okay, fabulous. Thank you. It's good. It's just good to know when definition of people of color. And I'm gonna leave it at that, and I think I have other questions, but because we have so many people sitting, what I'm gonna do is, they will go out with the questions that everybody will get, the questions I've sent, and the answers. Is everybody okay with that? Okay, great. Okay, guys, thank you so much. We appreciate all that you do. It is vital to our community, and we know that, and we appreciate all the efforts and the hard work that is put into providing such a wonderful service in all aspects that you do. So thank you very much. And thanks for your time
Thank
in the
you.
late afternoon. Really
And thanks
appreciate
for
it.
your support.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, guys, we do have Martha's Vineyard Community Services real quick. Martha's Vineyard Community Services. Hi, guys. Thank you for your patience. We're very sorry. We're in a very tight schedule this year and we're sort of running over. And we apologize, but it's the best way for us to really know our grant applicants, okay? So if you could do us a favor and identify yourself, and Sue's back, so thank you, Sue. If you could identify yourself for us because of the fact that your voices have to be heard and your names recorded.
My name is Angela Knapp. I am the program coordinator for Family Support Center at Martha's Vineyard Community Services. It's nice to see you.
Nice
Hi,
to
my
meet you.
name is Kate Leffer. I'm the program director for Disability Services at Martha's Vineyard Community Services. Thank you for having us.
Oh, thanks for being here. Okay, so as you know, you just make your presentation as to what the grant and what you're looking for in the grant and why, and then we'll ask questions, okay?
Absolutely. So our goals with the grant are to continue to expand our ability to access the community with a boots on the ground sort of approach. That's become harder and harder with the change in transportation available as there's no longer flights. And so I am commuting from Martha's Vineyard. We have another staff member that commutes from Falmouth. And then beyond that, our goal is to bring the community together, maximize inclusivity in the community, expose one another to disabilities while also creating enriching lives for individuals with disabilities on the island. And it's because I think it's a smaller population, it really can tend to be quite an underserved population. And this population of individuals with disabilities and their families are really in need of services in terms of getting off and on the island for their hospital visits, getting access to enrichment. So we do a lot of collaboration with Nantucket Star because they are on the island and they're willing to work together with us, as well as working with Family Resource Center in the high school and the elementary school. We started some social outings to help increase social skills. So our goals are really just to increase access to resources and a fulfilling life for individuals with disabilities and their families. Where can I take it from there?
Well, I think if there's anything else that you might want to add, and then we'll go to questions.
Okay. Well, in particular, I would say that we've really managed to increase our presence on the island. We've had a great deal of, let's see, I think we've had 8 new families that have come to receive DDS services, completed applications, and are now on our roster, just 2 more since January. And that includes really working with families before they're on our roster as a means to support them in accessing things like Nantucket Food, Fuel, and Rental Assistance, the Needy Fund on Cape Cod, South Shore Community Action Council, so all of the different resources, as well as medical resources, connections to OT, PT, different medical services that might be more complicated to access on the island. So therefore private sourcing has to happen and increased funding needs to be used for that. And besides that, our programming has been a massive factor in our ability to reach a greater amount of the community. So particularly the sensory friendly movies that we provide with Nantucket Star has reached quite a large population. So
Okay. Kate, do you have anything you want to add?
I am new to my role at Disability Services, but I am a former educator for 22 years on Martha's Vineyard, and I admire Angela and the work that she's doing in both island communities. We know that living on an island has its benefits, but also its challenges. And I think that there's a lot of handholding and support that is required of the families that we serve. And I am grateful for the funding that we've received from you in the past to allow us to provide that support to families and individuals on Nantucket. And I see how hard Angela works to do that, to help elevate people's lives and empower people to access the resources that will help them get the support that they need. So I just wanted to say that. And I think that Angela's a creative person, and the programming that she mentioned earlier really speaks to her desire to be as equitable as possible. Even though we are serving needs on both islands, it's something I've heard Angela say countless times in conversations. So I know that she's very much dedicated to connecting to families on Nantucket.
Okay, thank you. I have, and Joanna, we're gonna start with Joanna again in questions.
No, I'm good.
Okay, Linda? Linda?
I'm good.
Okay, Sue?
I don't have any questions, but I just wanted to say thank you for all the great work. The Nantucket families deserve this kind of attention, and I'm appreciating that you're here helping us to provide that. So thank you.
So, thanks.
Okay, oh wait, John? Sorry.
I have no further questions. It is one of those kinds of quite invisible populations that you almost have to really reach out and find them, because they don't come and find you that easily. And I am really so encouraged that you have picked up where your predecessor did such a great job of getting it started.
Okay.
Thank you. That is a massive compliment, because Kathy's passion and commitment was enormous. And so thank you, John.
I would agree. That was a very nice compliment, John. Yeah. I've got two questions, well, two statements. Dovetailing on John's statement there, I know that you probably get most of your referrals from the school system, except DDD, et cetera, but what kind of outreach beyond that do you do?
So surprisingly, I can't say I've had any referrals from the school system. All of my referrals come through STAR from the Sensory Friendly Movies and the Family Resource Center. I've gone into the hospital and had a couple of connections that way through social services, the social workers in the hospital. And I have been trying to get in to have a meeting with the doctors at Briar Patch, because I feel like that's another really important place to be. I've sent them a lot of materials. We've gone back and forth, but I haven't yet penciled in that time. So, but that being said, very few of my referrals come from the school system, although I have a great relationship with Cyrus Pierce and the high school. I'm not quite as close to the rest, but so that would be that.
Okay, well, thank you for that answer. Also, I do appreciate the calendar that you put in here, because I look at that and see how much you actually are doing, and thinking maybe even more advertising in a way of these programs, because we're finding it not just with your organization, but we know the people are here, but getting them to come out is a very important thing. For services, for programs, et cetera. So maybe some advertising, et cetera. So thank you.
I agree. I mean, I even with the buddy walk, I even posted that one in the paper and in the Nantucket Current. And still, that didn't really draw attention, but I can't tell you how much energy I put into posting on social media, talking to the libraries, having the schools send it out, working with the other nonprofits to post it as well. And I appreciate that advice. If you can give me other avenues, I'll always take them, because getting the word out is so complicated. And we have a wonderful behavioral consultant coming to the island tomorrow, Janine Fitzgerald, and we have one person signed up, which is great, better than nothing. But I mean, we try and try. So I will continue to be as tenacious as possible.
I was going to add one quick thing on the Vineyard on Facebook. We have a Facebook group called Islanders Talk, which is a great way to spread the word. I don't know if there's something similar at Nantucket on social media, but all of your suggestions are great ones, and we'll take them to heart and we'll think about it together.
There is one called the Nantucket Facebook community. It's
Yeah.
really what it's called. And you might wanna look at that access. Okay, Veronica, do you have any other?
That's it.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you know what I have a few questions. Your numbers are much larger than they were in previous years of families.
Can you say that again? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yeah, that's okay. Your numbers are much larger than they have been in previous years of families that you are serving. What do you attribute to that increase in the numbers of families that you're serving?
Honestly, I think outreach and perhaps need. I mean, we have a large amount of immigrant families in our that we serve, and I work very, very hard to get out our materials in Spanish and use interpreters and language line to make sure to have comfortable conversations with families. So both of our new families that we received on our roster became eligible for DDS this month. They're Spanish speaking. So it might be some of that, but also I think it's outreach and getting the word out. And like I was saying earlier, those sensory friendly movies, although it's not like a sensory, although it's not like a very specific program, because it's such a broad offering, brings in a lot of people that might not have heard of our services otherwise. And I think that has been a pretty big one, especially because they are regularly occurring. And we're so fortunate that Dreamland's been willing to work with us on that.
That's cool. Okay, good. In the advocacy that you do, which is very broad, where do you find your greatest need is for advocacy?
Oh, right. I mean, I think I spoke of this last year in the contract. Advocacy for ABA therapy. It is ABA therapy is more specific. For anyone who doesn't know what that is, it's applied behavioral analysis, and it's a particular therapy. Initially, that was more for children with autism, but it really works with any child that's developmentally delayed and dealing with behavioral concerns. So access on the islands is so incredibly difficult. And we just recently have someone in the high school or in the school system that is a BCBA and is able to work with families, but because they're in school, they can't work outside of the school. So we've just worked so hard to connect with different off-island ABA companies to send someone over, and we are not accessing it. And with the research is so strong on how ABA can either prevent a plateau in development or, really cause help the child to improve their development. So that would be the number one thing I've been plugging away at, I feel like, for the past 2 years. And it's like going through mud, but we're working really hard to try and increase access.
Okay. And a couple of the other things. What age do you stop services? What's the actual age?
We don't stop services. So when an individual moves from childhood to adult, they might choose to have PDP, so person-directed planning, which is one-on-one, and DDS gives the family the money to hire a person that works alongside. So then they don't get money through Family Support Center, but I still work with them if they want my services. I'm happy to work with really anyone, which is not a DDS thing. That's just more a family support center. We'll work with anyone at any age that has a family member with a developmental disability.
Okay, and just because we just came off of the rentals, the Interfaith Council, you said that you help families access the fuel systems. How do you do that?
Oh, well, just connecting them with Janice, and also we do a lot of applications for Cape Cod Needy Fund for the South Shore Community Action Council to get people reimbursements. I do LHEAP applications with families as well. We also do housing applications. Last year, actually, one of our families was able to gain permanent year-round rental through our work with them. So that was just really rewarding. But we have many other families that we've worked with to find housing on and off the island.
Okay, and then my last question is, how many of these programs that you offer, I know that they used to happen, so I didn't really read it in here, but are done on teacher workshop days that teachers can get credit for? Are there any classes being provided this year with that?
Not at this time.
Okay. Okay, I think that's it for questions. I will say that, as always, I think that the work that you people do is some of the most amazing work for families that we have on the island. You don't get enough praise for the way you affect people's lives and change children and adults forever. So we're very grateful that you exist and that you are there to help the ones in our community that need it the most and sometimes don't have the advocacy or the tools to do the advocacy. So thank you very much for all the work that you do on behalf of the community and on behalf of this sector of our community who actually, you know, sometimes don't have a loud enough voice. So we thank you for being your voice.
Thank you so much. It's really the most rewarding work, and I feel very grateful to have the opportunity. So I appreciate that.
Thank you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thanks for your patience. And we are going on to Paxton. Emily, I'm very sorry that you've waited. I appreciate your patience with us.
I just want to, may I?
Yes, Sue, sorry.
I just wanted to recuse at this moment.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I thought maybe I missed something. I was like, oh my goodness, I let them go and I missed something. So Sue is reclusing herself due to her connection with you. Emily, everybody else has introduced themselves, so if you could just introduce yourself so that it's on the recording, and then we'll let you guys make your presentation. We thank you all for your questions. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Madam Chair. It's really a pleasure to be here with all of you. So I'm Emily Molden. I'm currently one of the co-chairs of the Palliative and Supportive Care of Nantucket Foundation. I'm here as the primary project contact for our application for the Human Services Grant, along with a couple of my colleagues, Andrea and Deb, who it sounds like have already introduced themselves. So I'm primarily wanted to provide an introduction and will actually let Andrea and Deb make most of our presentation. I guess I would just introduce it by saying that PASCON it's been around on the island for decades. We are a specialized healthcare program that is dedicated to providing a variety of services to individuals that are diagnosed with serious illness, as well as to their families. And this is actually the first time that we've applied for a Human Services Grant, and we're really excited about it. So the grant is really two-part. It's to support a new taxi voucher program for some of the individuals using our services. And then also it's to support what we believe is some much needed additional outreach and communication around our community support groups. So I'm going to actually go ahead and turn it over to Andrea to give a little bit more of a history about PASCON, and then to Deb to talk more specifically about our services, and then we'll open it up to questions from you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, PASCON has been in operation for 40 years. It was started by Charlene Thurston and Tim Lepre and people from St. Paul's Church. There was no palliative care or hospice service on the island at that time. So this was started to answer that need. And that was in in 1980. In 2008, PASCON became just palliative and supportive care. And the hospice portion of our mission is now taken care of by the visiting nurse service. And hospice is really at the last weeks of life. So we are seeing clients from the beginning of a diagnosis and all the way through until the very end of life, as needed. We are a private 501c3 foundation, and we fund the entire program through our own fundraising in the community. We have different events throughout the year, and that's how we raise funds to pay for this program in its entirety. It's a relatively lean organization. Deb is our program director, who's a nurse specialist in palliative care. We have a part-time nurse who works with Deb, a part-time psychotherapist as well. We have support from our minister, Max Wolf. We have a office manager and a part-time managing director. And we also rely heavily on volunteers in the program. We have now, I believe, approximately 16 volunteers who are involved and are extremely helpful. So that's a little bit of the background of PASCON. So we work synergistically with the visiting nurse service, with other organizations on the island. Deb, and I'll let Deb speak to this a little more about where you actually see clients. It's in hospital and almost everywhere in the community. So that's a background on how we began. It's a vital service in the community. Deb will speak more to that, but I'm proud to be a member of the organization and keeping this organization running on the island. I feel that it's extremely important to quality of life of people who are facing serious illness and terminal illness as well. So I'll turn it over to Deb.
Thank you. And if you can't hear me because I'm wearing a mask, please let me know.
The microphone's right there, so don't
Okay,
even find
okay.
it.
I just travel to many places, so I just like to protect everybody.
Smart.
So palliative care, as Emily and Andrea have said, is specialized care for people with serious illness. And the goal of our care is to improve the quality of life for both the patient as well as their family and or their caregivers. This care is provided early in an initial diagnosis of a serious illness and continues as the disease progresses, including during transitions to very advanced disease conditions and with end of life. Currently in the USA, there are at least 12 million adults living with serious illness, and this includes people who have cancer, heart failure, lung disease, kidney disease, liver disease, advanced dementia, other neurological disorders such as Parkinson's disease, MS, ALS, and research has confirmed that not only palliative care can improve the quality of someone's life, it can also improve longevity. In palliative care, we recognize that serious illness impacts all aspects of a person's life: the physical, psychosocial, emotional, spiritual, financial. So we have staff, volunteers, community members, all involved with the program to provide care and support in all of these areas. We bring together an interdisciplinary team to facilitate the patient's individual care plan to aid in all of these areas. So we have 2 nursing staff, me as a full-time nurse practitioner, and I have a part-time nurse, and we visit patients wherever they reside and wherever they choose. Their home, the office setting, most departments in the hospital we go to, and we also go to our island home. The care is provided, includes providing symptom management, support and collaboration and consultation regarding this serious illness, facilitation of discussions surrounding medical decisions, and how to attain medical goals, as well as how to complete advanced care plan documents. We have a counselor who provides in-person, virtual, and group sessions to assist with the stress and the anxiety of serious illness, as well as to provide bereavement support. We have a volunteer PASCON chaplain who provides spiritual and existential support. We offer 4 support groups that are free and open to all in the island: cancer support group, caregiver support, bereavement support, and we recently just introduced a new Spanish-speaking cancer support group. Each group meets twice a month, and one of the barriers to the attendance of our groups has been transportation. So we would like to offer assistance for those who are interested and are in need. We have volunteers who also visit patients or their family members to provide support, socialization, and the gift of normalization of life. We have administrative support in the management of the Marla Seeley Lamb Cancer Travel Fund, which we administer, and it defrays the cost of cancer for travel off island. We collaborate with many hospital staff, departments, services, as well as community-based programs to facilitate and coordinate care for patients and their families. This includes the medical staff, the nursing staff, case management, social services here at Nantucket Cottage Hospital, and for providers off island in Boston. We collaborate closely with the VNA of Home Health and Hospice staff. We provide in-services to both hospital departments and community organizations to educate others on what palliative care is, and sometimes what it's not, as well as the benefits of palliative care. We have performed outreach, informational sessions to community program services, and would like to continue in order to improve our reach to all in need of this service, including populations that are underserved. We offer our written informational material in 3 languages, and we purchased a state-of-the-art interpreting device so that we can communicate with people whose primary language is not English. So here are some of our notable statistics for our program of this past year. We have a census of approximately 175 people, which includes patients as well as their family members and caregivers, because we treat people as a group, as a whole. We also have counseling patients. And this census includes 14 residents that reside at our island home. From various healthcare providers from inside and outside this community, we have received 65 new referrals in 2023. We recorded over 3,000 hours of direct patient care, and this is an increase of 600 hours from the previous year. We transitioned over 20 palliative care patients into hospice care, and then continued to collaborate with the hospice program in order to provide needed services that they didn't have on the island, such as volunteer support and spiritual support. We facilitate 4 different support groups and had approximately 350 attended sessions last year. We have 65 active Marla Lamb clients with over 288 encounters helping them. We have 15 active PASCON volunteers who clocked over 500 hours of in-person visits to patients or their family and caregivers. And that included at our island home as well. All our services and programs are provided free of charge.
Those are impressive numbers.
I think so.
They're really impressive numbers. Sorry, I didn't mean to speak out of what do you call, but they're just impressive numbers. Thank you. Joanna.
Hi, thank you. I do think this is a very important program, and that was a lot of information. Thank you. And I mean, I'm glad that you have come to our group to look for some money, I think, or some support for your program. I think this is a good fit. Is there is there a sense of like how many people is this going to directly impact, and in what kind of time frame? Right. You may have said that, and if you did, I missed it. So, you know, I'm sorry for the duplicate question if that's the case.
Well, we have, last year, we mainly had 3 support groups, and we added this 4th support group in November. All of these are open to the public. And through the year, as I mentioned, we meet every other week. But now my cancer support group is now every Monday. Bonnie's bereavement group meets every other Wednesday, and her caregiver support group is every other Friday. So last year there were 350 sessions, some of them virtual, some of them in person, but there are people that have a hard time getting when we come in person coming. So I haven't interviewed everyone, but I just when I found out why people haven't come, that's part of the reason. So and that's for the travel assistance, trying to get to our groups. So I hope I answered that question. I don't have the exact detail of how many people could come by the taxi vouchers, because we haven't used them yet, but I do think it would be a great service.
So how many, I think what our question too is like, how many clients, you said you had 175, including
Yes,
families.
those are family
how many-
caregivers. So 80 would be direct
80 are
patients.
direct, and then
Yes.
175 people responded to your survey question. Is that what, did I get that right? 175.
80 is our direct patients, and then of the 175, the other are family and caregivers, as well as Bonnie's clients who are counseling clients.
So you basically have 175 people that come.
Either
that
we go
use
to
these
them,
services.
either we go to them, and actually that doesn't count the support groups. Then we have the
Okay,
support
I think that's
on
what she's
top
asking.
of that.
I think that's what you were asking,
So,
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so she's saying 175, not including the support.
Yeah,
group.
the support groups, I actually have been documenting how many people come versus we have member lists, and we probably have 60 in the support groups. Not everybody comes every time, so I try to document who comes at each session rather than how many members that we have to try to calculate, our touch. That's why I put, there were over 350 attended sessions throughout the year.
Right. I was trying to get at basically how many people you think are going to use these vouchers, right? Like, I feel like you've identified the number in the total group that could, but do you think half of the people will use them? Like, how do you think it's going to roll out?
Not half. I'm not quite sure. I do, in my experience, when people learn about things, then you seem to get more people interested, so I guess I'm very interested in my Spanish-speaking cancer support group because it is new and it is my smallest support group, but I know for a fact that that quite a few of them, probably at least 4 out of the 7 that I have, could use transportation assistance. And so that's just with that one group. So 10 to 12 people, I'm guessing, for all of the groups. I hope that's answering your question.
Joanna, did that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
You're welcome. John Balash, any questions, sir? And/or comments?
Up, I'm on.
You just muted
I'm
yourself.
unmuting, yes, no question.
Okay, thank you. Linda?
You muted.
Yeah, you're muted again.
Okay, I used to be a volunteer at hospice for a long time. And I love this program. I love PassCon, and I'm so glad they converted to PassCon. But so I'm in full support of it. I have no questions.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. If I heard properly in your presentation, your numbers have increased drastically. And what do you attribute that to? Because I still think that with advertising, et cetera, there are more people there. So what have you done that's been successful?
Well, I provide in-services to the hospital, to the medical staff and the nurse practitioners to remind them about serious illness care, that it's not just about people who have cancer or are at end of life. I also, along with Andrea, we provided outreach in-services to mainly faith-based places. I did present at the Interfaith Council, at the Seventh-day Adventist Church, at the Knights of Columbus. I did go once to the Salt Marsh Senior Center. I did a presentation at along with Kelsey Gray, who's the hospice nurse at Our Island Home, to talk to the staff about the benefits of palliative care, as well as the difference between hospice and palliative care. So I enjoy doing outreach. I'd like to do more. It's right now, my focus is a lot of clinical care and seeing patients, but I also feel like it's important to kind of get out and get the word out about what we do so that we can reach more people.
Oh, thank you. Obviously, it's working. That's about all that I have.
Okay, I have a couple of questions, of course. Sorry, guys, I'm good at the questions. How do you, so in strengthening your support groups, is that through the taxi service and your outreach that you're hoping to make it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, do you have a taxi voucher agreement with a taxi company? Like, have you looked at them to see if you can get an agreement and have a lower cost for this?
I believe that the only taxi provider on the island that would agree to a voucher program, there's one that we found, correct?
Is it
Cranberry Trans.
Okay, yeah,
Yes.
Cranberry Trans.
So there was just one. After a lot of phone calls, no other service wanted to take up.
Take up doing it. They're great people. The Cranberry Transportation are great people. Sorry, I'm probably not supposed to say that, but, so what I noticed is that, half of the grant that you're asking for is for advertising. Okay, and one of the things that we look at is collaboration. So I'm wondering in that, is there any way you could reach out to, and we don't know what the overall cost of, or how you're coming up with the cost for the advertising and some of it's designing your brochures and things like that. In an effort for collaboration, could you do that through reaching out to like the high school to see what's her
Graphic design class.
the graphic design class might be wanting to do that as a project, as their senior class project or as a accredited project, and henceforth maybe save some money on that and so that you, and we're just asking, you know, like as a sometimes we like to make some ideas about where, or even the Artists Association, how you might be able to collaborate to get, because of the fact that what you're trying to do is a great service, and could this kind of collaboration come into place to help you get that done? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's really a very interesting idea. I think we could do that. We have, so far, we've produced all this in-house. So we're working with our very small team of board members who are willing to help out to produce these publications. And what we have now is quite outdated, and we're working on that to improve it. But I think the bulk of the advertising money, we were asking for ads in the Inquirer and Mirror to advertise these programs, and also media advertisement, perhaps in Nantucket Current, just to advertise that these programs are out there. And the brochure development would also be targeted at, say, small flyers that can be put in the churches and other locations.
That's what we're talking about, that kind of stuff for
Yes.
them to do.
And the design of those, of course, I mean, it'd be wonderful if we have graphic designers, you know, high school students who are able, who could help us produce something that's very eye-catching. That would be good. But we have a script regarding our programs that we use, so that the text, we're doing a fairly good job, although it's not, we're not using professionals to help us develop that. But
just an idea out
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Meryl that runs the photography and I think the graphic arts program is good at doing that with the kids, and She's done a couple of things that I've worked on and, you know, they've done the design on their own. And it's just fun to also get people involved, right? To get younger people involved too, to understand this. So on this, the ads here that say the INM, the 3,200, and then the media advertisements at 22, and then there's the publication of ads. Is that another place for ads that you're hoping to get out? In that 7,500?
This would be, well, the publication would be developing those print materials, so.
Oh, getting what
Like
you
a
need to get to that.
brochure, a brochure for each of the support, the type of support group. There's a bereavement group, the cancer support group, and then a caregiver support. Yes.
Okay, well, just an idea of design, right? And I would just say to you that.
Emily has something.
Who?
Emily.
Oh, Emily?
Sorry, just to thank you, just to jump on or piggyback onto what Andrea had said, as far as that 7,500 goes, that had primarily been focused on design services to improve our materials. And I also love that idea of collaborating with some of those groups as well. I think for the purpose of this grant, we were trying to figure out what would we really need to improve on these outreach materials. So we're just looking at hiring a professional designer, but I'm sure there are other options. And that also incorporated some money for printing services of those publications that we had gotten some quotes on. Also translation, getting those materials translated. We'd also contemplated maybe even an insert in the Inquirer and Mirror at some point. And then the other thing that I just, while I have the floor for a moment, also just to get back to Joanna's question about the taxi voucher program, when we calculated that total that we put into the proposal for the budget, that was really based on a presumed 7 patients and or family members attending a support group 3 times a week for 12 months. So, and based on what we understand from Cranberry Transportation, and again, are so glad that they're willing to work on a voucher program with us like this, based on their costs, we estimated that that would serve about 7 people 3 times a month for a year. So that's where that number came from as well, just to add that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't think I had, no, I didn't have any, no, you're certified mental health provider. Who's? Bonnie Fitzgibbon? Oh, Bonnie Fitzgibbon. Yes, good job. Yeah, I think you guys, I think that I can say this for the whole CRC, is that we are really excited to have something new come forward to us. It's always good to see the programs that are doing things and positive things in our community come forward and actually be seen more by all of us, and to have for everybody to have a better understanding. And this is exactly what this grant is about. It's about human services, and it's about providing these kind of services to all of our community in every demographic and every capacity that we possibly can. So I think I can say that for all of us, that everybody was really excited to have a new thing in front of us, and something that, is a very tangible and a very beneficial to so many families. I mean, when you talk about hitting 175, I'm going to tell you, I think your numbers are completely off. And I would say to you, I think you're probably hitting 1,000 people. Every time you hit a family, you don't hit one, you hit everybody they're affiliated with all the way down the line. And to put your number at 175, I personally think that you're underestimating what you actually do and how many people you actually affect when you provide a program like this. That's my personal feeling. So I thank you all for what you do. And I know it's a really powerful thing for families, having had this with my mother-in-law. Can't tell you, it's really very powerful. So thank you very much for all that you do. And Emily, thank you very much. And I'm very excited that you all came forward with this application. I don't think I'm speaking out of turn for anybody here that's represented on the CRC. So thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all very much.
And thank you for your, yes, I would love that. And yeah, actually,
I can get it digitized and sent out. if you'd like.
okay. Yeah, sure. Thank you. I would love to get a hard copy of that. Thank you. Thank you guys for your patience too. Boy, were you amazing on your patience. Yes. All right.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay,
Have a nice
good night,
day.
Emily. Thank you very much for
Guys,
your
put it up
patience.
front if you'd like. I think
Okay.
that's gonna be slightly safer. It
Okay.
might have some ice on it.
Yeah, and you know, there's a dark spot there where you
Yeah.
can't see on the ground.
Yeah.
To everybody at Fair Winds, we thank you very much for your patience. It was very important to us to be able to, get as much done with everybody that came in the door, as you know. What happens when we run out of time, so, thank you for your patience. And, so if you all want to introduce yourselves, that is how, we will go forward.
Amanda Wright, Clinical Director.
Jason Bridges, Executive Director.
Christy Wilson, Operations Director.
Morgan Baker, Development Director.
Chris Gagne, Board Chair.
Chris, I'm gonna just quickly change your screen name. We have to have full names on. And go ahead, I can do the rest of it out of the way.
Okay, fabulous. Sorry, guys, last time, first of all, we didn't really get to touch a lot on the peer recovery program because of our limited time. And then, I had some questions. So I'd love to you guys to give us a little bit of presentation on the peer recovery program. And then we'll go into all the questions that we had. Is that okay with you guys?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, perfect. So,
Thanks,
if you would just all say your name, because it has to be said out loud, to be on the recording, before, and then go ahead.
This is Jason Bridges. Just do a very quick opening. Thanks for having us back and accommodating us to talk about peer recovery coaching. You know, a lot of this is in what we presented in the report. But I think the key here to remind everybody, and maybe those who are watching from home, is that peer recovery coaching is not covered by commercial carriers. So Mass Health is the only one that covers it, which is great. This is kind of how it works. Mass Health puts something in place, and then the carriers take a long time to come in and say, oh, that's really working. It is evidence-based. And so we've been doing it since it opened up in 2017. And it is interesting. It's hard to hire on Nantucket just in general, but the peer recovery coach has to have lived experience. And that lived experience, and they want to share it. And so, you know, Amanda could talk about the ins and outs, but I believe it's, 2 or 3 years, sober. And it's really different to when you're in need to call somebody that has experience, who's been there, and they know where you're going or where you've been, as a friend, as a coach. And I mean, peer recovery coaches meet you for coffee. They meet you at your house. They will take you to an AA meeting. It's kind of really, whatever is needed. And I think, as in the report, at the time when we submitted, we had 30 unduplicated clients. A third of those have Mass Health, but 2/3 of those have commercial insurance, which isn't covered. And so we want to make sure that when anybody comes here, like, hey, you go to Fair Winds peer recovery coach, there isn't only if you have Mass Health. We want to make sure that it's covered for everyone. And that's kind of wanted to get kind of the main points. I'd love to, Dorothy, I know you facilitated, but I think Amanda can really dig into some of the kind of the stories and how it's went this past year. If that's okay, if I can hand it over to her.
Yeah, go ahead. But can everybody mention their name that's here? Because that's what I was trying to get at. We have to have it recorded that you're here. So Morgan, can you start?
They did. Yeah, they did.
We did that.
I was.
Yeah.
We're
Okay,
almost
it's in- we're just
3 hours
it's in
into
here
it.
for too
so-
long. I'm very sorry. I apologize. I didn't hear Morgan's. I apologize. I apologize, everybody.
No worries. So this is Amanda, the clinical director. I think the peer recovery coach obviously is a very important program, and we've seen the need increase and the benefits of it, especially since we've taken over crisis. you know, we've had situations where individuals have relapsed or, you know, are struggling with their substance misuse, and they have actually reached out to the peer recovery coach, who's then reached out to crisis. Our peer recovery coaches go above and beyond to the point that, you know, they will stay with someone until the ambulance needs to come to take them to the hospital. They will pick them up, take them to the ferry, make sure they get that on the boat so they can go to detox. You know, these extra things that they do really help get someone to where they need to get and towards getting the help. Our goal is really to take the barriers away, and, you know, our coaches really have that benefit to be able to do that. And I think the fact that, you know, it's confidential, it's one-on-one. If people aren't comfortable going to a group setting, like for an AA meeting, they're able to do the peer recovery coaching instead.
Okay. Is that it?
Yeah, I mean, we had two coaches, and we just hired a new one who started today, so she'll be able to take on more clients. But I just think it's a very important service. Most of our clients struggle not only with mental health issues, but also substance or dual diagnosis. To be able to have this opportunity where the coach can also collaborate with the clinician and the client, it's just much better care.
Have you constantly had the two, Amanda? Two peer, how long have you had two peer counselors?
We had two, and then one of them left recently, and so we just refilled the position. So now we have another one, so we have two. And it's nice to be able to have him now. Pardon?
So you now have two?
Yep.
Okay.
We had two, we lost one, we have two now.
Okay, thank you.
One thing I just want to add in as well is that this program is decreasing admins in the emergency department. It's continually allocating other resources for the hospital. So it's directly helping our community in that capacity. So much so that our PRCs have taken on enhanced roles that in the future, we would like to actually get them on crisis calls so that they're there real time. Right now, they're in a supporting capacity via phone or, as Amanda mentioned, to help get to detox and whatnot. But if they call crisis, actually having their coach there would be significantly helpful. And that's a direction that we're hoping to go into, just be due to the success of having this program.
Okay.
It's Veronica. I assume that the number of clients, you know, ebb and flows. But do you have enough clients? I shouldn't say it that way. We know you have enough clients, but do you have enough peer recovery coaches for the number of clients that you have? That's a better way of putting it.
I mean, we could always use more peer recovery coaches like any other position that we have. And for the most part, a lot of these clients stay with their peer recovery coach for an extended period of time. You know, anyone in the journey of recovery, there are times where people may relapse, you know, and the nice thing is, like, we will support this person wherever they're at, if they're contemplating stopping drinking or if they're in the process or if they've relapsed. So a lot of these people stay ongoing with their peer recovery coach, and due to the fact that we're doing crisis now, we're seeing an increase in referrals. And if we can get someone connected to a peer recovery coach later that day or the next day, that's really important in helping them as part of ongoing services to keep them, you know, in the community.
The other thing I would like to add, excuse me, Christy Wilson, Operations Director, we have not had a waiting list for peer recovery coaching. So we haven't had people waiting. So that's good. The other thing I just wanted to make a distinction about between peer recovery coaching and some other modalities that people might be more familiar with is peer recovery coaches meet the person where they're at. They can be pre-contemplative, but not really sure, or contemplating, or they might be saying, I really just want to maybe decrease my drinking or my cannabis use, or I just want to stop using heroin, but I still want to use everything else. That's very unique. Wherever they are in their recovery journey, we meet them where they're at. and there is no judgment. There's no expectation that they get where we want them to go. It's where they want to go. And they meet with the peer recovery coach and they work together on a plan. And the plan is to is harm reduction and to increase people's safety.
Do you recruit for peer recovery coaches? I'm trying to think where you would find these coaches.
I mean, we post on our website. We also have reached out to AA in the past to see if they know of anyone that might be interested. It's an on-island in-person position. So there are times where we've people that, have expressed interest, but they live in another state. And you really, to do this work efficiently, you need to be doing it in person, where you can meet them wherever and do something with them.
Do you provide training for a peer recovery coach, someone coming into making a transition from being sober for 2 years and I want to do this? Do you provide that training?
Yeah, no, we provide training and we have a whole orientation that they go through and things that they read to learn more about the role. They shadow the other peer recovery coach so that they understand, the work that they're doing and, so they can model it. So yeah, they have a full training before they even start to see clients.
Okay. Thank you.
Hand from Jason Bridges.
All right. Jason?
Yeah, Veronica, something I just thought of, like, Amanda, the last 2 or 3 people that we've hired in PRC, we found that they were already doing this naturally. So they're in recovery and they're helping other people. And next thing you know, they're helping 10 people and 12 people and everyone's calling them. And then they hear about the peer recovery coach through through word of mouth or through an advertisement. And they come to us and we're like, you're already doing this. Let us train you and get it, help you teach a plan and pay you. And so it's that seems to be the trend that they're already doing that. They're already in a helping supporting role.
Yeah, that's actually where my brain was going, Jason, that people have to be out there, helping a friend, quote unquote. And this could be an income source also in there, just willing to help other people. So being able to train them and getting more people, that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, and Veronica, the nice thing about this role is it's flexible in the sense that, if someone can have another job and also do peer recovery coaching, and so they set a schedule, they reach out to their clients, they set a time to meet. So there is some flexibility with that, which is nice.
Mm-hmm. And no one else is doing this on the island at this point.
Nope, nobody else is doing it.
Okay.
And how many clients, are you still seeing 30 clients? Is that the number still?
Yeah, from what I recall. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So is that 30 clients now going to be, now that you, this might just sound like a stupid question, but you had 2 coaches, you ended up with 1 for a while, you're now back to 2. Since part of the peer recovery is about building a relationship with the person, what happens? Are you going to divide those? How does that happen now that you've ended up with the second? Are you hoping that the second one will bring in more clients?
The second one will bring in more clients. Our current peer recovery coach was able to take on some of the clients that wanted to stay in the program when the other left. And so they'll be able to take on more. And like I said, it's a great resource when we're doing crisis because we can really get them connected to someone right away.
Okay. Anybody have any questions about the peer recovery program? Joanna?
No, thank you, guys. That was good.
Linda?
Nope, no questions. Thank you very much for the presentation.
John?
It's made it clearer to me so that I really have a much clearer understanding of what it's all about. Oh, sorry about that.
Okay. Is that it? They can ask? Yes, besides me. on the new insurance laws, that are coming out, is there ways of getting reimbursement? Are they gonna be looking at this, the peer recovery program?
I mean,
Sorry.
my hope is that they will be looking at it because it's such an important service. And there is a whole certification that someone can take. You know, it's pretty lengthy and extensive, and they have to do a lot of work with clients as well. So my hope is that the insurance companies will recognize the importance and start to cover it.
Is any of this under the new laws that are going through in, the State House?
Yeah, there's the parity law that came out this past year. It passed, but it takes a long time. As we know, Christy can tell you how slow it takes the Blue Cross Blue Shields of the world to, politicking and working with the DOI, Department of Insurance, for the state, and trying not to kind of cover this. And it just takes a while. I think IHT, this happened, Mass Health did IHT, it took 10 years, and then all the commercial carriers, kind of fell in line. It takes a while, but the parity law hopefully will speed it up.
Okay. And have you looked into any of these insurance companies yet to see if they're doing it? You have.
Christy?
They are not. So we'll hear from the Department of Insurance when they say they have to provide this care. They will send a bulletin out to all providers. And if you are a provider of this service, then you are notified that you can contract with the carriers that you work with. We're credentialed with most carriers. So we would then go through the process of credentialing with each individual carrier to be able to bill for that service. And it's just a process, just being credentialed for a different line of service, especially if you're already credentialed with them. So it's not very lengthy. It doesn't take a whole lot of extra work. It's just a hoop that you jump through, but we will be notified. Absolutely. It does take time. The thing that's going to take the time is for the Department of Insurance to say, yes, we are going to mandate this for commercial carriers. And then they have to give the commercial carriers a lot of time and grace to get their systems updated and change their billing and all of that. So it takes some time. They tried to roll out the Children's Behavioral Health Initiative for in-home therapy and therapeutic mentoring and intensive care coordination. And it took, even once the Department of Insurance said, you all have to pay for it, it took probably 2 years before they actually started smoothly paying for it. And it's still, some of them have a little bit of trouble with it. So it's a slow process, but once it happens, it goes quickly, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I was just wondering, I've been reading a lot about it. So just wondering where it stood right now, because I knew it was, it's pretty progressive action that they took in order to start providing more towards all these programs. Okay, I think my other questions are going to go back to the original one, because I didn't get to ask some of my questions of you guys. And one of the big questions I have is, after discussion and understanding what they're doing at the Island Home, have you guys thought of ever getting an insurance management company in to better increase your insurance payouts? As I've been noted by town officials, it has increased their insurance payments drastically, unbelievably. And even though you all, and nobody is saying that nobody's, of qualifications, just with the fact that companies like that are able to find the ways, and they know the system of all the insurance companies because they have so many people working with it. Have you looking at an insurance management company to come in and help you get better insurance and get on top of your insurance and insurance payouts? And I see Jason shaking his head. So Jason, if you want to answer on that.
I'm so excited you asked this, because we've done a lot of work on this in the last couple of years. So we have a new position It's the clinical onboarding and revenue cycle administrator. And this was somebody that we consulted with, Jim McCosh, for years. And she became so valuable, we made her an employee. And so that's exactly what she does. There's specialized knowledge and then there's extra specialized knowledge, because to be able to understand Medicare and all these different revenue cycle managements, the codes and all of this, she knows it. And so now she is an employee and works a lot more for us. We also added a billing and compliance manager position to be able to.
Billing and compliance.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, billing and compliance manager, which.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first word on that. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
So we have these two positions that's just what they do. And we also in September, October this past year, we hired Prosperity Behavioral Health. There's a third party kind of auditor that comes in and looks at all your billing. They look at speed to pay, first speed to bill, speed to pay, and then your actuals versus expected. And they give you all these charts. They're complicated, and we are really, really good in speed to bill, where I believe 97% goes out in the first 0 to 10 days, like in the chart. And the speed to pay is how clean your claims are. And we're really good there. Doesn't mean we're perfect, but there's little areas to dig into. And then expected versus actual of what they get back. And this year's been complicated because of the CBHC. The state and Mass Health can't get their stuff together. They're figuring it out, but we have that oversight, and you all have been suggesting the CFO to make sure that this utilization and the yield from how we go out and get insurance and work with the carriers is super, super efficient. That way, and are confident that the sliding fee, all of that is being used efficiently. And that's what we do. And that's what we've done in the last couple of years. So the revenue cycle management, we had that check. They found like maybe a couple little areas, and then we're working with them to dig in even more. And also our EHR, or electronic health record system, Advanced MD, also is doing offers for a very low cost of another revenue cycle management look at all of your billing and all of your codes. And trying to find something that's not there, and it's to go even further. It's, there's in-network and there's out-of-network. And when you're in network, you have all these, but we're on top of all that.
Okay, and my inquiry came because I do realize that the Island Home had people doing this kind of work, and when they brought in the management company, actually, it was incredible what they were able to increase their funds to. I'm a little concerned over the 82,000 on the sliding fee that you said that you were not allocated to spend all that money on the youth sliding fee, and you did. Where do you propose that you would find sliding fees again to cover children's fees? And if you're, it's when somebody says to us that they're delegated a certain amount of money for for things and they're not supposed to use all the funds for it, but they did, it brings up a red flag as to, is that appropriate? And if so, how are you going to fund this in the future? The sliding fee for the youth, which you don't ask for in any of the sliding fee that you've requested of the town. Did that make any sense in that?
I have a couple clarifying questions. Where's the red flag? And
So, but you told us in your last presentation that you were given a grant that was supposed to cover, it was $82,000, and it was not supposed to singly cover the sliding fee, all of it for children, yet you did end up doing that for the youth sliding fee. And that that sort of brings up a red flag if you're given a certain amount of money designated for something, and then and said not to use it all, but you do use it. Is that common practice? And then and then the second question on that was, where is that 82,000 going to come from? Because it's not really in the grant that you wrote to, but where will that 82,000 come to cover the youth sliding fees?
So the first, yeah, I understand now. Thank you for clarifying. The first part of that question, we have a large grant with the Tower Foundation, and it was, this was written, 3.5 years ago, 3 years ago, and we're having a hard time hiring, as we all know, the housing problem, and that was for IHT, in-person, CBHI, Children's Behavioral Health, Broad Island, and we weren't using it at the rate. So we went back to the grantor, the Tower Foundation, and had many meetings with them and asked them, we had lots of different options, and they said, why don't you, they agreed to flex this towards sliding fee for children. And they agreed to it, and this is common practice with grants, with foundations, is they can flex it to something else if the needs change. And that's what they asked, like, your needs are changing. And we're seeing an increase in the demand for sliding fee. It's going up and up and up and up. And we felt that we wanted to show you in the CRC that we are looking for other sources of revenue, not just relying on this town grant. And so we were kind of proud and happy to show you, like, hey, look, we have other sources. Second question is, when it ends, this is the last year, we have work to do, as we always do. We always have to go out and find other grants to cover things. And as taking on the CBHC and crisis and all these other collaborations that we have with police and addiction solutions and the warming place, we are getting more referrals, and those referrals are mostly those who are in need and can't afford it. And so our sliding fee is going up, even though that at the same time, we're finding additional sources of revenue.
I just wanted to add one thing. The original grant that was written 3.5 years ago was also to cover to bring on some more management help for particularly the CBHI program and the community-based services. So it was help to offset the hiring of that manager, which we were unable to do until very recently. So, and the other clarification I wanted to make, the 82,000 was over the last 12 months, which bridged 2 different fiscal years. So, and the grant was fiscal year. So we didn't exhaust the full 82 in the fiscal year that they were appropriated for.
Okay, so it was your calendar year, not your fiscal year.
I was trying to give the last 12 months because I feel like that just gives you the best data, the most up-to-date data. So as I said, when I ran those numbers, it was from that day, going back 12 months, which would cross, half of it would be in last fiscal year and the other half would be in this fiscal year.
Okay, the calendar year. Okay. Do you have any questions?
So Jason, you're saying that your overall need is grown, but in the sliding scale that is growing disproportionate to the overall because of the further outreach in other areas, whether, I don't know if I stated that well, but.
You did. I'm just trying to think, is it disproportionate? I don't know if the percentages are, say, disproportionate. I know that we're finding, 6 figures to help with sliding fee, and it's continuing to increase. So as we're finding more revenue sources, our, $175,000 ask is similar to those of last year, but the total need has gone way up. So, I think I said last week or 2 weeks ago, the last meeting is, we know there's a finite amount. And so we're trying to find other sources, and we're trying to, a lot of people have moved from sliding fee to Medicare once we got there. So that pulled away people off of sliding fee back into Medicare, and that was great. And then it's just filling right back up, and it just keeps going.
We've increased our services dramatically. And the other issue is insurance deductibles are now exorbitant for people. They don't even, they are lucky if they reach their deductible in 12 months and then they finally get there and it's resets. So people have $6,000 deductibles, and it's a barrier for people. They are not going to come get care when they have to pay. They do get the contracted rate for whatever their carrier is. So they do get that kind of break, if you will, but it's still a barrier if you're going to charge people $90, $100 to come for an outpatient therapy session. And we're trying to remove that, because if we don't, they will not get care.
Right, right. Yeah, the most important thing is people getting care, without a doubt.
I think we all agree on that.
And certainly, we want to make sure that happens, and, the sliding fee is what we can provide. We know that there was success with the Medicare, Medicaid, when that was introduced, of how much was coming back. So I think what we're just looking for is an assurance that looking for other sources via insurance payments, et cetera, if that's being maxed. So what's left is the sliding scale.
Yes,
That's are coming from.
Yeah, I would like to say that proudly we go after every single dime that we're owed, and we would never pass along an invoice or a charge to a client if we've done our due diligence to get their insurance information and they've given it to us, and their insurance carrier would cover that charge.
How fast do you go after that? How fast do you start the insurance process with your clients?
So for most people, we will get it before they start treatment. What happens sometimes is people's insurance changes while they're mid-treatment, and they don't tell us. And then we get a denial, and we reach out, and sometimes they answer and they give us their new insurance information, and it's no harm, no foul. Everything's fine. Sometimes we reach out and we document every attempt to reach out, text, email, phone calls, and we reach out and people just don't get back to us. And we are bound by what's called timely filing rules. So some carriers might be 30 days, some 60, some 90. And if we don't get it within that window, we'll still submit it, and they'll deny it because we didn't give it to them in time. And that's their right to do that. And we can only pass that to the client if we've demonstrated that we've done our due diligence to get that insurance information. And so we have to go back to our records. Our front office staff has to document. I emailed them on this day. I texted them on this day. I called them this day. Repeatedly. And if we can demonstrate that, then that is their bill now. And we don't like to, but that's what we have to do, right? And I don't know of any business that wouldn't do that. If you go to the doctor and you don't give them your insurance information, they're going to bill you, and we have to do the same thing.
Can you talk about the crisis situation as well?
Yes. So this is new to Fairwinds in the last year. We just took over the crisis. We are not going to hold up somebody going from a crisis to, if they need a med appointment the next day, or an intake, whatever that may be. We are not going to hold up someone that came in through crisis because we don't have their insurance information. It's not the same as if someone just calls and says, yes, I'd like to schedule an appointment. Okay, well, we need your insurance information, then we'd be happy to schedule that for you. If they come in through crisis, we prioritize them. We're going to get them into care. It's not about money for us. We want to help people, especially people that come in through crisis. So they go directly, as quickly as we can get them, into services. And then we try and play catch up and ask them for their insurance information. So that's another way that's more recent that we might miss it, and we still will try our hardest, but that's our situation.
Thank you.
Okay, and just to reiterate, you said, how long did you say that patients are waiting to get in to be seen? If somebody were to call, what is your wait list again?
Amanda, do you want to speak to that?
Our wait list right now, I got it updated, it was 25 for telehealth, and we're in the process of case assigning people. And then we have, sorry, let me get you the other number. We have 25 on the wait list, and then we have 24 people waiting for in-person, which we're working on case assigning to our 2 new clinicians. There are 18 of them are kids, so obviously there's limited spots. The kids are able to see a clinician, you know, it's like 2 on. So, and then there's a few that speak other languages. So we're continuing to work on hiring other clinicians and case assigning those to the 2 new ones.
And how long is that normal wait, Amanda?
How long is that normal wait? It could be a month or longer. I mean, I want to remind everybody there's a wait list everywhere. I was off island and I met a gentleman whose daughter's really struggling, and he's been on a wait list for a couple months. I mean, it's a common problem. You know, we're doing our best. You know, we do have the same day urgent behavioral health shift that we offer that's free Monday to Friday from 5 to 6. We also have it available that the crisis staff can cover it if needed, add an extra shift on. So, you know, being as creative as possible to meet the needs. And
We also, oh, sorry, Amanda. I wanted to jump in when you're finished. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say that as soon as we have enough people, we'll offer, we've always tried to be able to offer at least the telehealth option. And we have a grant to bring our telehealth clinicians here as often as they're able to travel, and we can fly them here, we can ferry them here, and all of their expenses are paid. We put them up, and that way, so if people are hesitant and they say, well, I don't really want to be telehealth, we can say, yes, we understand. Would you like to try? And you will meet your clinician in person, maybe quarterly, maybe monthly, whatever it might look like. And so that helps people be more comfortable with telehealth. Our goal is to have as many boots on the ground, master's level clinicians as we possibly can. And the barrier has been housing. And we've done everything we can do to try to procure housing for our staff and subsidize it. And we've had some success. We have several houses. So now we're just trying to fill them.
Okay, great. Can I just ask one more? Amanda, this question goes to you. Could you tell me the length of the sessions of people have? What's the length of a normal session?
The length, I mean, it depends on the client and their risk. I mean, every session is 45 minutes. It's either 30 minutes or 45 minutes. And we're constantly meeting with the clinicians to assess the need for whether someone needs to continue in treatment. We also utilize Green Space, which is an evidence-based assessment tool where clients are sent surveys to fill out, and that helps us demonstrate, you know, progress or lack of progress. So something we value. It's called Green Space.
Thank you. Like the color green?
Green Space. It's a Canadian company. And they have evidence-based assessment tools, for instance, like the PHQ-9 for depression, the OASIS for anxiety. And clients are sent those at the beginning of treatment and ongoing through their treatment. So in addition to supervision, group supervision, we also are able to review the assessments to see where people are and talk about their progress.
Okay. And then I have a question for all of you in regards to having taken on the crisis for the state, becoming the crisis unit. How have you found that's affected your organization as a whole? Like, have you found it to be a challenge? Have you found it to be something that inspired you to do differently? Did you find it to be a challenge? You know, just out of curiosity, because it's a major step for any organization to take on, you know, for anybody to have taken on. So just wondering how you feel that's affected you guys as an organization. And I don't know who wants to speak out, but Jason, do you want to talk on it? And then maybe somebody else, or would you rather not?
I'll do it really quick. And Amanda is running this, so she can speak to it. But it's crisis response and it's crisis stabilization. And I think it's, we're trying really hard to explain the stabilization part and trying to get to people faster, trying to get people to call us, get them quicker, to stabilize them so they don't escalate and the acuteness increases and then they have to go to inpatient off island. And we have to think differently than other crisis responses and stabilization off island because they have lots of other resources. So we're trying to be really innovative. I think it's been great. We have more eyes on people. I think this has allowed us to collaborate with the hospital and the police and the schools and all the organizations that we listed in a different way. And I think it's been really great to have an organization as us that is here, within, it really deep in the community that runs this. And so that's just a bigger overview. I think it's great.
Thank you. Amanda?
Since I've been living and breathing crisis all year, I'm really proud of the work that we've done. It was a very daunting task to take it over. And the way it was done in the past was very different than the way we're doing it now. I think there's challenges with any new initiative, and we've had a lot of learning curves and we're still learning. But I think that, overall we've done really amazing work in the sense that we're really getting to people. We're connecting with them. They may not need us right in that moment, but they know that they can call us and we will be there. We're able to get them access to services much quicker than we ever were a year ago. We have a lot of success stories, and it's not like I want someone to be in crisis, but I think that if they are, we're here and available and can get them what they need in that moment, get them appointments later that day or the next day. We've even expanded it, so we work very closely with police and fire. And if they know someone that's, they're concerned about, that hasn't escalated, they get us involved right away so that we can get that person connected to services so they don't get to the point where they're in crisis or they have to go off island, and we're working very closely with the state and other hospitals off island so that our whole goal is to keep people here and get them what they need. But if they do have to go off island, let's not have a child sit in the waiting room, for a couple days waiting to get a bed. Let's have them stay at home where they're safe with their family and they're more comfortable waiting, where we can get them a direct bed and have the parents bring them. It's a much better experience. So I think, with all its challenges, we've done a really good job. I'm proud of us. I'm excited to see what we're going to do, and I think just, in terms of connecting with these people, like they know we're here, and they call us ongoing. And if they're not ready in one moment, they may call us the next week and then they're ready to be evaluated.
Okay.
I would just like to, oh, sorry, may I just jump in and add, I don't mean to cut you off, but I just wanted to add a billing piece. We are insurance blind, and that's a new thing since we took over crisis. Prior to us doing crisis, the first question that was asked when someone called a crisis line, as horrible as it is, but this is the truth, what's your insurance? Because if it was Mass Health, it was one call, and if it was a commercial carrier, it was another call. And we made it so that isn't even a question when you call crisis. It's where are you and how can we help you?
I think the other thing that's important is we're doing it differently in the sense that if a parent calls about their adult child, we will provide support and crisis support for that individual because they're in crisis just as much as their child might be. And sometimes we do work with the parent first, and then we get to the adult child. So we're really trying to think outside the box and be very creative to meet people where they're at and get them the help that they need. And the fact that it's insurance blind is huge. And like our response time normally is within 15 minutes, even in the summer, which is pretty amazing.
No, it's very amazing. And when you say insurance blind, you don't bill for it.
We will bill for it, but we will not ask the client what their insurance is for their first question to determine if they're going to be evaluated by A or
Okay,
B.
I get that. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
Chris, do you have any feelings about it?
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, we can.
Sorry, I'm actually in the Poconos. Driving back from my mother's hip
You have a
surgery.
lot of snow?
Yeah. So yeah, the only thing I would want to just add is, and I think I mentioned it last time, was that the people on this call have just worked really, really hard over the last year to put all these programs into place. doubling our footprint and clients served is it just been a huge lift. You know, we're thinly staffed. We know we need to hire more people, but they're doing a great job, and we really appreciate all of your support. The town has supported this agency and this effort for every year for as long as we can all remember. So we couldn't do it without you. And I think the island benefits, and particularly the population in the island that can't afford services benefit from this program. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. I would say that I've heard wonderful things about Amanda's work within the crisis unit on the island through my connection now with the fire department and with friends that work in the dispatcher. And so I would say that I feel that they feel very comfortable working with her and the connection that it has to your organization. So thank you guys. Veronica, do you have any?
Yeah, I
questions?
just wanted to say thank you for coming back, because I think we had more information today that some of the questions we had from last time, you were able to give us information today. So I do appreciate your time. I also know that it's gone well after 7 o'clock. So thank you for your very precious time.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we all appreciate it a great deal. And we appreciate everything you do. We appreciate the fact that you are there for us, there for the community, and the services that you provide to the community and the impact that it has for so many families. We know for some people, you know, it's their saving grace. So we're very thankful for that and for what you guys all do, every single one of you, including you, Chris, who sits in the Poconos in the snow. But thank you all very much. Thanks for coming back at this late at night for us to be able to ask a little bit about that peer recovery program and to get a few of the questions we had out. We appreciate it. We appreciate the, you have waited over an hour with us, a little over an hour. So we really appreciate the time. We were a little, because of that new youth behavioral grant, we were a little behind on this year's and in trying to get that out, but we appreciate it a great deal. So thank you guys very much. We, just
Thank you
can't
for
say enough.
all, thank you for all your work. I mean, you're volunteering and it's a lot of hours. And I know, so I appreciate it, because if you didn't volunteer, we wouldn't have this. So the CRC is a big lift. So thank you all.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay.
Have a good night.
Good night, guys.
Bye.
Good night.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you very much. Oh, wait, whoa, oh.
No, I was just saying, we're
Joy,
gonna-
I saw you were like this.
Oh, no, I'm good. I'm good. I was just listening. I had to switch. I had to come home and deal with my regular life.
Yeah, no,
I had
we understand that.
I had you out from 7:04 to about 7:11.
Yes. I was
Just
here.
keeping the notes
And I'm
steady.
not sure we didn't,
We had a quorum during that time, so we should. be
no,
good.
I'm not worried about
Okay.
that. So on the other business, very quickly on this, we were supposed to get, the quarterly reports, and Tamika's been.
still out.
She's
I'm just
still
gonna, Tamika's been out of the office, so we don't have the quarterly reports. And when she is available and back, we will go into the quarterly reports, and get them. I'm gonna have Jericho talk on that in 1 second. They are gonna be due soon, so we do want to be able to look them over and, come back. The thing that was given to us by Palliative Care, Jericho will be making a digital copy of. Jericho, I still, you know what I meant to ask, did you ask them about finances for Fair Winds?
I have not been able to, I just haven't had time to get around to that.
I should have asked when they were on. Sorry.
Yeah, and then if we get I'll just ask for a specific like P&L list or something very granular, so we don't get everything again.
We need a better budget on how they're doing stuff.
The other point on that, should have the quarterlies together for you sent out. I think there's one set of reporting and one invoice we're still waiting on. Hopefully we'll have that sorted out.
Who are we waiting on?
I don't have it to my hand right now, but there was one revision of invoice for one of the organizations who submitted their internal invoice instead of the official one. And then there are like a couple of odds and ends like that. And then the new applicants to the youth behavioral health grant have been figuring the system out. We've been trying to get everybody on the same page in terms of
For them to
what
understand.
information is.
Yeah.
But everybody, I think we have had contact with everybody at this point, which is not typical, which is always nice, but that's it for me on that. Hopefully next week I should have information out to you. We should be able to get them through and passed on the 29th.
Okay, so what Jericho's saying is with hopes, we should have those, quarterly reports for the 29th. So he'll hopefully get them to us before that so we can review them. And then we are calling back health imperatives for the 29th.
29th, too, right?
To talk.
I have confirmation from them, for the 29th. I know we're gonna have to maybe, what I've told them is I'll just reach out to them at some point that day to ask like specifically what time. So if we want to have them very first.
15 minutes after
Right.
we're in.
Okay,
So, what, 15 minutes into our meeting, let's
so
have them.
4:15-ish then, that is the
Right.
4 o'clock one, right? That is an afternoon one.
No, I can tell you right now, hold on.
Yeah, please, I think that's another 4 o'clock one, because it's a 29.
Yeah,
One minute.
it should be 4 o'clock.
I'm just gonna double check, I have it written there. It is at 4 p.m.
Okay, now I will send them that info.
Okay, everybody knows that our next meeting is at 4 p.m. and we're gonna start deliberations after we meet with health imperatives about the organizations that have come forward and spoken with us.
Okay.
What day?
That's 29th,
The
Monday.
29th, Monday, the 29th at 4 p.m.
Okay, all right.
Do we have a rubric to use?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
it's still in there. I'll print
It's
up
in
some
the
sheets for you. It's right in the front page.
Oh,
Yeah,
It's not in mine.
it'll be, I'll have the rubric, it's in the RFP that went out. I'll extract that and send it around.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
okay, so did everybody
Because-
see, Betty, see that, what Veronica just asked?
So I'll send around a copy of the rubric. So everyone will see it. I think it's best if we do 2 rounds of deliberations where people rate their rubric before the meeting, and then after the meeting, they'll adjust it, and then we'll use either an average or the best of the 2. Because I think that is helpful. It's helpful to come in with that info.
Okay, so if you can send that out tomorrow,
soon as
that'd
I
be
can,
great.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I'll make a little grid sheet for it and whatever.
Good. Appreciate that.
Okay.
John Balash, I appreciate you doing this so late at night. I know that it goes into dinner time and everything else, so I appreciate it a great deal. I think that,
Can I motion to adjourn?
Please. Sorry.
I want to apologize for my sleepy eyes, but they were very itchy and I kept closing on me.
that's okay. We just wanted to let you know that when you're on the screen, it just was,
I
so
know.
everybody should know, I did go in the other room and call John. That's why I left the room once, just because I didn't want that picture up. Anyway, we have a motion on the table.
Yes, I made a motion already,
Second.
but I'll make it again.
That's a second.
Motion to adjourn.
It's a very quick second. It
Yes.
was second, Donna.
I think
Second.
Joanna second.
We're all seconding. Everybody's seconding.
Okay. Joanna,
Aye.
John,
Bye.
Sue,
Aye.
Linda,
Aye.
Dorothy, aye. Thank you guys very much.
Joanna, there was a second when I thought you were voting no.
Oh, yeah, right.
So-
Let's
I thought
keep
there was a
going.
second. It's just gonna say, no, we're
Thank you
good.
guys.
I'm
Bye,
gonna pass
everyone.
that,
Night.
everybody.